Primordial Desolation. I am the Dragon Ancestor. I choose for the dragon race to retreat from the very beginning. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 252. Hun Peng must be doing something secretly. This thought appeared in Hashin's mind, and his face suddenly turned pale as paper. On this battlefield, no one except Patriarch Hun could save him from the edge of self-destruction. Obviously, Patriarch Hun didn't want him to die. The members of the monster clan who had been affected before didn't want him to die so easily. Hashin was so disheartened that he even violently raged his soul with the intention of destroying his own soul and died. He didn't want to be humiliated by the monster clan no matter what, etc. I just saved you from the edge of self-destruction, and you want to destroy your soul again. Are you so eager to die? Just when Hashin was about to destroy his soul, an extremely familiar voice suddenly came into his ears, causing Hashin to slow down a step. This sound is... Hashin was a little confused. He couldn't help but look up to the sky. As far as his eyes could see, Hashin saw a figure who was like a life-saving straw to him. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long? How can this be? Hashin actually saw Shen Long's figure appearing in the sky. For a moment, he thought he was hallucinating, but the next second, he immediately denied this, because Tae also saw Shen Long with a look of horror on his face. Shen Long slowly descended from the sky, stepped on the giant arch of Nanshanmen, and watched with interest the fight between the monsters below. Next to Shen Long, there was a chaos demon god with soaring karma, respectfully guarding him like a slave. Isn't this an illusion? Hashin never expected that Shen Long could coexist peacefully with the chaos demon god, and the chaos demon god seemed to have great respect for Shen Long. As for Tae, who was deeply afraid of Shen Long, he regretted it in horror as soon as Shen Long appeared. Fellow Taoist Hashin, there is no need to seek death. These miscellaneous fish cannot threaten heaven. Shen Long flicked his fingertips, and a small light point-like energy projectile shot into the descending battle situation. This energy did not seem to have any destructive power, but when it landed on the battlefield, it suddenly glowed brightly and released the extremely terrifying power of space door and shattered this entire space. Boom! There was a sound like breaking porcelain, and large areas of space collapsed. A huge black hole emerged, and a terrifying suction force erupted, swallowing up all the approaching monsters on the battlefield. What exactly is this? I can't escape. Emperor, please help us. These unlucky demon clans who were affected, whether they were Daoyuo Jinxian or below or quasi-sages, were like ants swept up by the strong wind. They were unable to struggle, and were finally swallowed and torn apart by the black hole. As the demon clan involved became more and more, the more there were, the bigger the black hole became. In just a short moment, all the monsters on this battlefield were drawn into the black hole. Until this moment, the black hole was like a huge mouth that swallowed everything to satisfaction, slowly closed and disappeared completely. On the battlefield of Nanshanmen, only a group of stunned immortals were left. The inextricable monsters who were fighting with them just now and almost forcing them into desperation have all disappeared. You know, there are a lot of quasi-sages among those monster clans. Fortunately, this is not an attack on us. After the shock, these immortals began to rejoice. If the target of this black hole was them, there is no doubt that their fate would be the same as these monsters. Zhu Long, it's Zhu Long. Wasn't Zhu Long isolated from the wild world? How he came back? Could it be that Zhu Long has reopened the counter-spiritual passage? This is impossible. Among the immortals, I don't know who noticed Shen Long's existence first, and then countless eyes focused on Shen Long standing on the Nanshan Gate. The exclamations from the immortals came one after another, but Shen Long turned a deaf ear. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, it is really you. What a blessing. The countless monster clans disappeared in an instant, completely convincing Hashin that this must be Shen Long. At this moment, Hashin had only one thought in his heart, and that was to be saved. Shen Long smiled lightly and said, Hashin, fellow Taoist heaven, if I had come a step later, you would have been wiped out by now. Ashamed to say, When Hashan heard this, he looked a little embarrassed, but at the same time he was glad that Shen Long came in time. As for the demon clan, Shen Long's eyes swept across the battlefield and finally landed on Taiyi. At this moment, Taiyi felt as if his soul was struck by 5 thunders, and he was greatly shocked. Top 10 demon gods. Taiyi quickly exclaimed and ordered the 10 demon gods to gather around him. Fortunately, they were not swallowed by the black hole. Emperor, that is really the ancestral dragon? Baifeng looked at Shen Long in disbelief. He couldn't believe his eyes. If Shen Long is here, let alone their top 10 demon gods, even if they gather another 100 or 1,000 demon gods, it will be useless to face Shen Long. It seems you didn't learn the lesson from last time, Taiyi. Shen Long took a deep look at Taiyi, and the murderous intent in his words was not concealed at all. Zhulong? How did you return to the primitive world? Taiyi gritted his teeth, and after a long while, he asked without confidence, this has nothing to do with you, Taiyi. Shen Long laughed contemptuously, and Taiyi was frightened when he heard it. Today is the end of the demon clan. Shen Long doesn't care how the demon clan and the heaven fight, as long as the heaven does not return to the hands of the demon clan. No matter how fierce the fight between the immortals and the demon clan, he will not intervene. But this time, the demon clan actually harbors evil intentions towards himself, trapping himself in chaos. He will never be able to return to the primitive world. Shen Long is determined not to let go of those who harbor evil intentions towards him. Master, these little guys look very interesting. Can you leave them to me? The endless demon god is ready to make a move. Although Shen Long forbids him from killing creatures in the ancient wilderness, he can always kill 1 or 2 of those who provoke Shen Long, right? In addition to Taiyi, you can kill the 10 demon gods at will. Shen Long nodded his head and agreed. Yes, the endless demon god was immediately overjoyed and instantly turned into an expanding mass of blood mist, killing the 10 demon gods. Is this the endless demon god? When the 10 demon gods saw the unpredictable means, they all shouted in horror, except for Taiyi. They were at the quasi-sage level at most. Fighting against the endless demon gods was simply asking for death. Come to death. Ha 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 ha. The endless demon laughed wildly and crazily, and the blood mist it turned into instantly enveloped one of them, Luo Hu, and frantically extracted his soul, flesh and blood. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 253. Get out of here. Get out of here. Luo Hu, who was shrouded in blood mist, was horrified. He felt that his spiritual power and flesh and blood were rapidly draining away. If this continued, he would be completely annihilated in a few moments. In panic, Luo Hu hurriedly used his magic weapon to stop it. Devoured by the endless demon god, his spiritual consciousness was wiped out the moment his magic weapon appeared, and then turned into powder. Without the protection of the magic weapon, Luo Hu's flesh and blood and soul were squeezed wildly. Not even a trace of his soul was left, and his body and soul were truly destroyed. Phew! The Jiazong bird and the Baifeng bird immediately showed their true forms. 2 giant birds with wings spread out that could cover the sky, and the sun appeared, looking up to the sky and roaring. What a small trick! It just turned into a bigger ant. After seeing Shen Long's various mysterious methods, the top 10 demon gods are simply child's play to the endless demon god. The endless demon god suddenly tore his chest apart, and the ribs in his chest suddenly extended and stabbed out, straight into the sky, instantly piercing the bodies of Baifeng bird and Jiazong bird, and their souls and flesh and blood were swallowed up completely. Run away now. In just one meeting, the 3 demon gods were easily killed by the endless demon god. No matter how stupid the others were, they could see that they had no chance of winning against the endless demon god. At that moment, the 7 demon gods fled in 7 different directions. Go. Whoever survives is left to fate. It's a pity. I still want to taste the taste of this saint's soul. The endless demon god glanced at Taiyi. If it weren't for Shen Long's order, he might have killed Taiyi first. At that moment, the endless demon god self-destructed and turned into 7 groups of ferocious blood mist, flying in 7 directions at the same time to hunt down the escaping demon god. Shen Long had no interest in those demon gods at the quasi-sage level. When he saw them being chased away by the endless demon gods, he looked into the void with cold eyes and slowly said, "Fellow Taoist Hun Peng, I know you are here. There is no need to hide your head and tail." There was no response from where he was looking. Shen Long simply condensed a long sword with chaotic spiritual power above his head and stabbed it through the sky. At this moment, the void twisted, and the embarrassed figure of Patriarch Hun appeared, forcibly carrying down the flying spiritual sword. Boom! The power of the spiritual sword was far beyond Patriarch Hun's expectation. He was instantly bombarded and flew backwards. The spread of residual power even shocked the meridians in his body, nearly seriously injuring him. The spiritual sword was just something Shen Long had at his disposal. Transformation contains such terrifying power. At this moment, Patriarch Hun was deeply aware of fear, especially when he thought that he had driven back 500 Chaos Demon Gods by himself. Fellow Taoist Hun, the Chaos Demon God is coming. All the monks in the ancient world should put aside their prejudices and speak to the outside world in unison. But you took the opportunity to destroy the entrance to the counter-spirit passage, intending to prevent me from ever returning to the ancient world and conquering the heaven. Shen Long stared at Patriarch Hun coldly. Although he did not show any killing intent, it was enough to make Patriarch Hun tremble. Zhu Long. How on earth did you return to the primitive world? This is impossible. Patriarch Hun Peng really couldn't believe it. Even Dao Ancestor Hong Jun had nothing to do, but Shen Long just did it. Fellow Taoist Hun, your stupidity lies in believing that the established iron laws of the world cannot be overturned. Wait until you hit the road and think about it slowly. A cold light suddenly flashed in Shen Long's eyes, and the next second, the spear of destiny appeared above his head and shot out like a bolt of lightning. Heavenly Demon Plate. Hun Peng panicked and quickly sacrificed his strongest guardian magic weapon to protect himself. The moment the demon disc appeared in the world, it frantically absorbed the power of heaven and condensed the guardian barrier in an attempt to use it to withstand the attack. Spear of Destiny. Boom! However, Patriarch Hun still greatly overestimated himself. The powerful Spear of Destiny pierced the sky and bombarded the Imperial barrier, causing it to shatter and collapse in an instant. Click. Not only that, the remaining power of the Spear of Destiny has not diminished, and it has also penetrated the body of the heavenly demonic disc. The innate treasure, the heavenly demonic disc, instantly shattered into pieces. This is impossible. While Patriarch Hun was horrified, he suddenly felt a burst of heart-rending pain. He looked towards his chest with difficulty, only to see that the Spear of Destiny had pierced his heart at some point. However, Patriarch Hun was in the heavenly Tao realm after all, so he was still not directly killed. But at this moment, the threat of death came to his mind, and Patriarch Hun truly felt the fear of death. In the realm of heaven, will you die? Destroy. The next moment, Shen Long snapped his fingers, and the Spear of Destiny that penetrated the chest of Patriarch Hun suddenly exploded, blowing it into a ball of blood mist. Patriarch Tei, who witnessed all this with his own eyes, exclaimed in shock and grief. In the realm of heaven, Shen Long actually destroyed his true body. Only at this moment did he understand that the last fight between Shen Long and Patriarch Hun seemed. There are back and forth, but it is based on the premise that Shen Long hides his strength. If Shen Long had gone all out, I am afraid that the Hun Patriarch would have been killed in that battle. In the exploding blood mist, Patriarch Hun's weak soul emerged. Although Shen Long easily killed the true form of Patriarch Hun, the saint in the realm of heaven has been highly integrated with the ancient way of heaven, and his soul can continuously draw power from the heaven to preserve it. His own soul is immortal. This is also true. Even if Patriarch Hun only has one soul left, he is still gradually extracting the power of heaven to restore the loss of his soul, and is even recondensing his true body. This kind of immortality, the degree of immortality, is far better than the rebirth of a saint relying on the mark of the soul. A bit interesting, haha. Shen Long watched with great interest the soul of Patriarch Hun making its final struggle. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, please don't take offense. It was all my fault before. As long as you are willing to let me go and let go of the demon clan, I will agree to any conditions. Grandmaster Hun knew that even though he seemed immortal, Shen Long only had to completely destroy his soul, and there would be no possibility of rebirth for him. For this purpose, in addition to begging Shen Long to let him go, no choice. Hun Peng, you did have a chance to survive, but you just gave up. No one else is to blame. Shen Long turned a blind eye to Hun Peng's request. He just stretched out his palm and grabbed it in the air. He condensed a giant hand with chaotic spiritual power and grabbed Hun Peng's soul. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 254, Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, have mercy on me. I was confused when I plotted against you before. I promise, if you let me go, I will hand over my life soul, and from now on all the demon clan will obey your command. Even if I become a subordinate servant from now on, I am willing to do so. I just ask you to spare my life. After trying countless times and being unable to break free, the Hun Peng Yuanshan was finally overwhelmed by fear and begged Shen Long for mercy. At this moment, his lifeline was held in Shen Long's hands. Even if he is a strong man in the realm of heaven, once his soul is wiped out, there is no possibility of rebirth. I don't need servants like you, and those ants from the demon clan are even more useless to me. Shen Long didn't care, completely turning a deaf ear to what Hun Peng said, and then offered up the spirit-swallowing blood jade. The moment the round blood-colored jade bead appeared, the spirit-swallowing demonic energy spread out, leaving only the chaos of the soul. Peng is extremely sensitive and afraid of this spirit-swallowing demonic energy. Even if he has never been in contact with this object, he has an innate fear of its natural enemy. The spirit-swallowing demonic energy restrains the soul in such a domineering manner that there is no room for it. The spirit-swallowing demonic energy has no room for it. The demonic energy spread instantly, sealing Hun Peng's soul from all directions, and at the same time quickly absorbed the power of the soul that devoured him. The swallowing spirit blood jade's restraint on the soul completely exceeded Shen Long's expectations, and in just a moment after that, the soul of Patriarch Hun completely disappeared and ceased to exist. In an instant, the sky was covered with a layer of blood, countless stars shattered, and turned into meteors falling from the sky. Infinite seas were churning, and volcanoes were erupting. Natural disasters occurred in many places on the earth. With the fall of the heavenly Tao realm, his connection with the ancient heavenly Tao was also cut off. Being separated from the heavenly Tao would lead to such natural disasters. All of this is very true proof that Hun Peng the Tao ancestor has been killed, and there is no possibility of resurrection. Countless creatures in the prehistoric era are looking up at the sky, shocked and amazed. In the heavenly Tao realm, the Hun Patriarch was actually killed by Shen Long. You can imagine the shock it brought to them. Before this, the powerful people in the prehistoric era all believed that the saint was close to immortality, and the realm of heaven was further integrated with heaven. In essence, it almost became a part of heaven, unless heaven be destroyed. Otherwise the heavenly Tao realm will exist forever with the heavenly Tao. But now, Shen Long has broken the iron law recognized by everyone in the ancient world and told all the creatures in the ancient world that the heavenly Tao realm is not immortal. As long as the strength is strong, there is no what is indestructible. From the moment Patriarch Hun Peng died, his impression in the long history of the prehistoric era also disappeared. Everything that remains in the world is to feed back the way of heaven and provide for all living beings. In an instant, in the prehistoric era, all the powerful beings and creatures in the country felt this extremely huge energy aura, and rushed to absorb it into their bodies. Even among many ethnic groups, they fought for these auras, resulting in countless deaths and injuries. Of course, those the humble and weak races can only obtain a very small part of them. Most of them are obtained by saints and high-level quasi-sages to further improve their cultivation. There are many outbreaks of law power in the ancient world. There is no doubt that in the red light there must be more creatures that advance to the level of quasi-sage. It is precisely because of this that the level of the ancient world has been further improved. When Patriarch Hun Peng destroyed the counter-spirit passage, countless creatures in the ancient world hated him, but they did not expect that he was perishing. Afterwards, It actually brought such great benefits to the primitive creatures. It is really a irony. Zhu Long is so powerful. Wu Shen was horrified when he learned that Patriarch Hun had been killed for the first time. After the shock, Patriarch Hun was extremely lucky that Shen Long had not tried his best to attack him. Otherwise, with his cultivation level, he would have died at the hands of Shen Long long ago. Thing. Congratulations to the host for killing the heavenly Dao realm Hun and receiving an evolution point reward of plus 999,999 trillion points. Thing. Congratulations to the host for successfully swallowing the Hun Yuanshan and receiving an evolution point reward of plus 999,999 trillion points. Thing. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward Chaos Spiritual Treasure 5 Elements Treasure Phase Wheel. Thing. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward of the innate treasure Chaos Mi Dao. Thing. Congratulations to the host for receiving the Chaos Spiritual Treasure Chaos Spiritual Mirror. A series of reward prompts were heard. This time, in addition to a large number of evolution points, Shen Long also received more magic weapon rewards from the system. Among the series of innate treasures, Shen Long selectively ignored many of them, but only 2 magic weapons attracted his attention. 5 Elements Treasure Wheel, Chaos Spiritual Treasure. With this magic weapon you can control the origin of the 5 elements of heaven, and control the 5 elements like an arm and a finger. This ability is simply incredibly powerful. You must know that although all living things have different cultivation paths, there are constant differences between Xuanmen and Buddhism, and their acquired growth has its own emphasis. There is only one thing: all living beings cannot transcend the 5 elements. They are all based on one of the 5 elements. Form. The 5 elements of life when they are born cannot be changed and cannot be reversed. Although there are countless powerful people in the ancient world who use spiritual power to transform the 5 elements into the form to attack the enemy, they are just using the overflowing power of the 5 elements of heaven. But the original power of the 5 elements comes from the ancient way of heaven and forms the foundation of all living things. No one can stop the erosion attack of the 5 elements. If attacked by the 5 elements with conflicting attributes, the 5 elements will be directly shaken and destroyed. It can be said that the enemy is wiped out from the root. The origin of the 5 elements is one of the components of heaven, and no one can mobilize it. However, this magic weapon has such a heaven-defying ability, and it is indeed worthy of Shen Long's attention. As for the other Chaos Spiritual Treasure, the Chaos Heavenly Spiritual Mirror, its ability is very simple, but it is terrifyingly powerful. No matter how powerful the attack launched by any enemy, it will be instantly rebounded and bombarded on the enemy. There is no limit, and there is no possibility of any loss of energy. This alone means that even a person who has just entered the quasi-sage realm has at least the ability to defeat a 10th level saint. Of these 2 magic weapons, one is unparalleled in attack, while the other is indestructible in defense and can also heal others in their own way. They are truly Chaos Spiritual Treasures. At the moment, Shen Long activated these 2 magic weapons and directly used them as his means to fight against the enemy. After that, even if 3,000 demon gods besieged Shen Long at the same time, he only needed a Chaos Heavenly Spirit Mirror to make those demon gods tortured to death by his own means. In this way, when they meet those Chaos Demon gods next time, I am afraid they will truly understand the despair that penetrates their bones. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 255. With these 2 magic weapons at hand, the 3,000 Chaos Demon Gods are as if they are nothing, not worth mentioning. Shen Long is very satisfied with these 2 magic weapons. In this way, his control over the way of heaven will be further improved. At this moment, a scarlet blood light appeared around Shen Long. The next moment, this blood light gathered and condensed. He became the true form of the endless demon god and bowed to Shen Long. He had already hunted the 10 demon gods and returned. Judging from his satisfied expression, it was obvious that the 10 demon gods had not escaped from his hands, and none of them should have survived. Master, don't worry, I have finished the matter. From now on, there will no longer be the names of the top 10 demon gods in the ancient world. The endless demon god said proudly. Shen Long nodded slightly, and then he looked not far away, and saw Taiyu running away in a hurry when Patriarch Hun was killed. Taiyu was not stupid. Patriarch Hun was killed. One is that it is his turn to die. This master, allowing Taiyu to escape is because of the incompetence of his subordinates. The subordinates are willing to set out immediately to capture him. The endless demon god broke out in a cold sweat and quickly asked Shen Long for his orders. No need. Shen Long unexpectedly shook his head and refused. You don't need to worry about Taiyu. You are not allowed to take any action without my order. Yes. The endless demon god quickly lowered his head, not daring to criticize. Shen Long didn't want to let Taiyu go. It's just that he was not at ease with the endless demon god. These chaos demon gods are murderous, and they regard the creatures of the primitive world as ants, trampling them like dust. If he was allowed to roam freely in the ancient world, and even wreak havoc unscrupulously while chasing Taiyu, I don't know how many creatures in the ancient world would suffer. Although the endless demon god is his slave at this time, but he has no regard for Shen. The only value of the dragon is to provide information about the chaos demon god, nothing more. With the death of Patriarch Hun, the demon army that was still so fierce and killing the sky suddenly collapsed. Some of the remaining elites were lucky enough to escape with Taiyu, but the vast majority of the clansmen had no time to take out the heavenly court, and could only be surrounded and suppressed by the immortals in the heavenly court, and killed one by one. Such a huge hatred, if not avenged now, will wait until later. The situation was instantly reversed, and the bitter people who were suppressed before were after almost all the quasi-sages of the demon clan were killed. The supporting immortals completely slaughtered the demon clan in an absolutely crushing manner. Under the southern sky, blood flowed into rivers, and countless demon clans were killed and destroyed by the gods, just like the torrent swept through, like a colony of ants being washed away. Shen was even more afraid of cutting the grass without eradicating the roots, and even sent some immortals to kill directly into the demon clan's territory, with the intention of completely destroying the demon clan. With such fate is hard to change, and the demon clans there is no possibility of reversing fate. At this moment, Shen came to Shen Long and bowed to him respectfully. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, I am really grateful. If you hadn't taken action today, not to mention the demon clan would have returned to heaven, and even the immortals in heaven, including me, would have ceased to exist. I owe my fellow Taoist a great cause and effect. For this cause and effect, Shen is also convinced that Hun Peng harbors evil intentions towards me, and intends to seal off the evil spirit channel to harm the world. It will be a matter of time for me to kill him sooner or later, but I just killed him conveniently. Shen Long nodded slowly and said lightly, having said that, Hun Peng has obviously destroyed the counter-spiritual passage. How did you, fellow Taoist Zhu Long, return to the ancient times? Are there other entrances? Shen asked the deepest doubt in his heart. After being destroyed, the counter-spiritual passage cannot be recreated. This is something that everyone in the world knows. Fellow Taoist Shen, there are far more things that you don't understand in the ancient world. Shen Long smiled slightly, and Shen couldn't help but feel ashamed. It's a pity that there is no longer a space channel as stable as the counter-spirit channel, but no matter what, the prehistoric era can finally avoid falling into the age of ending Dharma. Shen Adadi sighed. The current situation is the most acceptable outcome for the primitive creatures. It's just a passage, and in my opinion, the counter-spirit passage is far less stable than you think. If there are a few more Tandao realms with evil intentions in the prehistoric world, they can still destroy the counter-spirit passage. Come with me. Shen Long said no more words, ordered the endless demon god to follow him, and then immediately returned to the sky of the infinite four seas. At this time, the explosion of spiritual power caused by the death of Patriarch Hun had gradually subsided, and the manic infinite four seas also followed. To restore calm, fellow Taoist Zhu Long, what is your plan? Shen looked around. He was a little confused as to what Shen Long meant. The prehistoric world really needs a more stable world passage, just above the boundless four seas. I will open it myself. The boundless world is the foundation of the Dragon Clan. If Shen Long wants to open up a new passage, he must be as close to his own territory as possible. From now on, all the comings and goings of the creatures in the wilderness will be under his control. Down, open a new channel, fellow Taoists. Zhu Long, is what you are talking about the reverse spirit channel? Hashan never dared to imagine that the counter-spiritual passage could be created. Shen Long ignored Hashan and directly communicated with the Way of Heaven. At the same time, with the help of the Jade Plate of Creation, he stimulated the power of the laws of space to the extreme. Boom! A sound like breaking porcelain sounded, and a huge space crack suddenly burst open in the sky above the boundless sea. This space crack spread for tens of thousands of miles, and the karma from chaos billowed out. How even if Tian didn't enter it, he knew that the other end of this space crack must be chaos. Although this space crack is not stable, Shen Long can create such a huge space crack with just a few moves, which is unprecedented. Even Taoist Hong Jun has never been able to reach this level since ancient times. The so-called impossibility is just the self-comfort of the frog at the bottom of the well, thinking that what cannot be seen or achieved is the taboo in the world, the iron law that hinders all things. Today I will let you see that in my hands, nothing is impossible. Shen Long pushed the jade disc of creation to the extreme. In the next moment, the torn space cracks gradually twisted and gradually became stable. The originally extremely irregular edges of the cracks gradually condensed into a ring shape, turning the space cracks into a ring shape. The karma blockade that is constantly spitting out cannot reveal the prehistoric world at all. At the same time, it also isolates the spiritual power that is constantly being absorbed into it, which is equivalent to adding a blocked door to this unstable space crack. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 256. When the ring was completely formed, the violent space law power revealed between the space cracks finally stabilized and operated in an orderly and slow manner. At this moment, the space cracks and the ancient Way of Heaven were perfectly integrated into one, and a surge of spiritual power instantly erupted from the sky and affected every part of the ancient world, shaking everything. At this moment, although all living beings did not know what happened in the prehistoric era, they could vaguely guess that this big movement must be related to Shen Long. Take a good look. Shen Long clasped his hands on his chest. He was very satisfied with his masterpiece, but Hashan behind him was dumbfounded, staring straight at the spatial cracks that operated stably and orderly. No, we shouldn't call it a space crack at this time, we should call it a space channel. There is an essential difference between space passages and space cracks. The essence of the reverse spirit passage that originally existed in the prehistoric world is a space passage. The space channel can isolate the flow of spiritual power between the two worlds. Creatures living in the two worlds do not have to worry about being affected by the aura of the other world, but the space cracks can only allow the spiritual power of the two worlds to drain away from each other. What's more important is that the space cracks are extremely unstable. Every time they travel, the spiritual power of the shuttler will greatly affect the space cracks, causing the space cracks to disappear and collapse at any time. However, the space channel has no such worries at all. No matter how many times it travels, its stability will not be affected. It is a channel that can truly last forever. The original counter-spiritual passage was only over 100 miles in size, but the space passage created by fellow Taoist Zhu Long was many times larger and more stable. There was a huge wave in Hashan's heart. If Patriarch Hun originally targeted this space channel for destruction, I'm afraid it would take him at least nearly 10 years to completely destroy it. Now that prehistoric times have this space channel, there is no need to worry about someone with evil intentions deliberately destroying it. Hashan was overjoyed. Shen Long was even more relieved. The counter-spiritual passage was opened above the boundless four seas. From now on, if all creatures want to go to chaos, they must obtain the permission of the Dragon Clan, otherwise they will have absolutely no right to use it. Regarding this, Shen Long determined that all sentient beings in the prehistoric world had no objections. After all, if it weren't for him, the prehistoric world would have entered the end of the Dharma era and would never be able to revive again. At the same time, affected by the huge movement, Lazy, Tongshan, and Wushan, Jiyin and other powerful people from the ancient world rushed here. Is this a space channel? It's so big. It's many times bigger than the original counter-spirit channel. Great. There is hope for salvation. I don't have to worry about it from now on. Fellow Taoist Master Zhu Long is really amazing. He can actually solve things that even Master Hong Jun could not do. In front of Shen Long, they completely understood that there was nothing impossible with absolute strength, and there was no iron law that could not be broken. Lazy and Tongshan were both glad that they did not have any grudge against Shen Long. As for Wushan, he was a little afraid to look at Shen Long, but no matter what, everyone is relieved. Even though they fight constantly on weekdays, no one wants the prehistoric era to enter the end of the law, leaving them wither day after day, completely blocked in the prehistoric world and unable to leave. Thank you Taoist Zhu Long. All the saints thanked Shen Long one after another. I have to say that Shen Long definitely saved the world this time, and the saints also really saw Shen Long's methods, especially Na Wushan, and they gave up completely. The last bit of luck was that he could never be Shen Long's opponent. Fellow Taoists, if you are friends with my dragon clan, you can enter and exit the space passage with the permission of my clan. However, if my clan does not allow it, and there are still people who want to force their way in, I don't need to say more about the consequences. You should know it yourself. I wonder if anyone has any objections to this. Shen Long's gaze swept across, and no one dared to say number. Whether it was because of Shen Long's personal creation of the space channel, or because of the threat of his terrifying and unstoppable strength. Very good. Shen Long was extremely satisfied, and then without waiting for the reactions of the saints, he left directly and returned to Wu Liangxi. After this round of battle, Shen Long gained countless evolutionary points. If he uses them all, it will definitely make his cultivation skyrocket again. After Shen Long left, the other saints looked at each other with different expressions. Some were worried and some were happy. Everyone, farewell. Wushan's face was extremely ugly. At this time, he just hoped that Shen Long would not settle accounts with him. This guy looked very guilty, and he must have regretted it very much at this time. Tongshan said with some gloating, and everyone naturally understood what it Tongshan meant. Ahem, fellow Taoist Tongshan, let's leave our disputes in the past. The threat of the 3,000 Chaos Demon Gods to the ancient world still exists. Now is not the time for us to fight with each other. Jiyin coughed dryly and said with some embarrassment. He was worried that the two would hate him, and if they fought with him again someday, it would lead to Shen Long regulating the dispute between the two parties. That would definitely be a scene he didn't want to see. Tongshan didn't say a word, but I stepped forward to smooth things over. Introduce fellow Taoists. Xuanmin and Shimin are still at odds. The grudges and misunderstandings we had before can be resolved. So good. Jiyin finally felt relieved. Afterwards, I didn't stay much longer, but took Tong Dian away with him, and the two of them returned to taking realm together. Brother, as you can see, the behavior of fellow Taoist Zhu Long is so powerful. Can you ask him to help resurrect Yuan Shai? Tongshan couldn't help but ask. It's not that he felt guilty about Yuan Shai, it was just because of me that he had this idea. Otherwise, even if Yuan Shai was resurrected, Tongshan would probably not be able to help but fight with him again. Nonsense. I glanced at Tongshan coldly. Although fellow Taoist Zhu Long has no grudges against you and me, he doesn't have much kindness. On the contrary, we owe him a lot of karma. We don't know how to repay it. How can we possibly ask him to resurrect us? Yuan Shai. What's more, Yuan Shi had a lot of conflicts with fellow Taoist Zhu Long back then, so it was already a sign of mercy that he didn't kill Yuan Shi himself. What I said completely left Tongshan speechless. After a moment, Tongshan asked again with some unwillingness to give up. Brother, since it is as you said, doesn't it mean that we have no way to resurrect Yuan Shai? I sighed heavily and didn't say anything. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 257. It's not that there are no ways. Currently, I can think of only two. Either they break through to the heavenly Tao realm, or there may be a glimmer of hope with their powerful cultivation improvements. Or, we can only do it by asking Dao Zhu Hongjun to take action. I will go and meet Taoist Zhu Long in person, and then my teacher. I signed helplessly. Soon after, all the sects and races of various forces in the prehistoric world were informed by the Dragon Clan. Although the counter-spirit passage has been destroyed, our ancestor Long Zhu has the power to reach the sky and rebuild the space passage above the boundless sea. The ancient world will no longer fall into the Dharma-ending age, and the way of heaven will last forever. If all creatures in the ancient world want to use the space passage, they must obtain the approval of the Dragon Clan. Anyone who does not have the permission of the Dragon Clan to trespass will be hostile and killed by the entire Dragon Clan. This news spread throughout the ancient world, immediately making countless races in the ancient world excited and ecstatic. The thing they were most worried about was finally solved. From now on, they no longer have to worry about the terrible disaster left by Patriarch Hun, and the great power that Shen Long displayed could be regarded as completely making all living beings surrender. No one dared to question Shen Long's power anymore. Even in the hearts of all living beings, Shen Long's powerful and mysterious status is already equal to that of Taoist Hongjun. Suddenly, all races in the prehistoric era are trying to please the Dragon Clan, hoping to get the right to use the space channel, even if it's not for the space passage, even if it's not to offend the Dragon Clan. It's still worth it to please him like this. Just when the Dragon Clan was receiving courtesy from the entire prehistoric world, Taiyi fled here in a hurry at the old site of the Niling Passage in the east. It wasn't that Taiyi was very capable of escaping, but that Shen Long didn't take Taiyi seriously at all, which was why he was lucky enough to survive. The first moment Patriarch Hun was killed, Taiyi ran away without hesitation. The reason why Taiyi chose to escape here is because there are still space cracks left by the ancestral dragon. Sure enough, this is it. Taiyi looked at the crumbling space crack and felt very happy in his heart. If he continued to stay in the primitive world, he would not be able to escape death with Shen Long's methods. Only in the boundless chaos could he survive. As for the Demon Clan, now he can't even protect himself, let alone the Demon Clan. Although the space rift is about to be broken, at least Taiyi can barely escape into chaos. At that moment, Taiyi did not hesitate and immediately rushed into the space rift and left the prehistoric world. Boom. At this moment, the huge spiritual power shock caused the space cracks that were on the verge of being shattered to be completely destroyed. A burst of surging power of space law exploded, causing the surrounding space to continue to shatter. And it lasted for dozens of times. Days later, the space in this area was finally restored. As for the space crack leading to chaos, it had completely disappeared. From then on, there was only one channel that could lead to chaos in the vast world. In endless chaos, Taiyi rushed out of the nearly closed space rift in a panic. When he came to this not unfamiliar chaos, he almost felt like he had known this kind of place for the first time. Wherever his sight reached, there were only desolate and barren stars and dim death stars. His spiritual power was thin, but he was filled with endless karma. If the cultivation level of the prehistoric person is lower than that of Luo Hu, he will be slowly eroded by these karma, until finally the soul is distorted and the mind is greatly changed. At the least, he becomes a murderous person, and at worst, he completely loses his intelligence and becomes a human being. A machine that only knows how to kill, no longer has self-awareness. Although Taiyi had been mentally prepared, he was still disappointed and annoyed at this time. In the past, when I came to Chaos, I mostly just passed by here temporarily and never made a long stay. But now when he thinks that he may never be able to leave this area forever, he feels heartbroken. Damn Zhu Long, if he had not intervened in the dispute between Heavenly Court and the Demon Clan, how could the Demon Clan have fallen to this point, and I would not have fled here to save my life. Taiyi, who was angry and frightened, suddenly took action and smashed a meteorite flying in front of him into pieces. But the anger in his heart was still not gone. Just when he was about to destroy the meteorite to relieve his anger, he suddenly realized that this desolate land was, in the wilderness, there was an extremely powerful energy wave. Tei was very sensitive to it. After hesitating for a moment, he immediately set off and flew towards the source of the energy wave. The closer he got, the bigger the energy wave became, almost far more than the largest spiritual vein he has ever seen. Is this a great opportunity? There is such a wonderful place in this deserted land. Tei's spirit was greatly boosted. Even if he could not return to the primitive world, he was lucky enough to be able to find a place with abundant spiritual energy to practice in the chaos. When Tei avoided a Death Star, he finally got close to it, the source of energy fluctuations, but when he saw it with his own eyes, he was immediately shocked beyond measure. It was not a spiritual vein at all, but a huge resentment that could not be dissipated in the chaotic void. After all living beings were killed by others, other resentments will remain in the world. Most of these resentments contain part of the strength and magical powers of the people who were killed during their lifetimes. And of course more of them are hatred of others. In the wild, abundant spiritual power will quickly suppress the resentments, devour it, and assimilate it to feed the way of heaven. But in this chaos, the spiritual power is terrifyingly thin, and the resentment cannot be eliminated. Even after combining the karma, it will become larger. The stronger the cultivation level, the more resentment it will become, more and more intense and terrifying. Now, the huge resentment condensed here originated from the 5 chaos demon gods who were killed by Shen Long. The resentment of their killing could not be dissipated, and finally condensed together and became an extremely terrifying energy wave. Tei looked at this huge resentment, and a little fear rose in his heart. Just when he was about to leave, he suddenly had a thought in his heart. The resentment of these chaos demon gods contained the past lives of the 5 demon gods. If a part of his cultivation and magical powers could be absorbed and refined by him. This idea emerged in his mind, and he couldn't get rid of it. Although the resentment of the chaos demon god is difficult to refine, this is also a great opportunity for Tei. If you try it, you can really succeed. Tei couldn't resist the temptation, and immediately made up his mind to sacrifice all his remaining magic weapons, rush directly into the resentment, and devour it crazily. At this moment, those huge and cold powers were continuously absorbed into Tei's body and gradually refined. But at the same time, the powerful rejection and negative emotions in the resentment were crazily injected into Tei's mind, making him extremely violent and almost distorting his sanity. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 258. But this influence completely dissipated after a short period of time, and Tei actually regained his self-awareness. Tei was confused at first, but soon he figured out that this might have a lot to do with Shen Long. The 5 chaos demon gods were killed by Shen Long. Naturally, they had great resentment towards Shen Long, but just like them, Tei also had great hatred towards Shen Long. It is precisely because of the connection of hatred that the impact of resentment on Tei's mind was reduced by accident, so that he did not become a killing machine with twisted mind. After Tei survived this disaster, he quickly absorbed the power of the resentment, and his cultivation level increased rapidly at a speed that even he himself could not believe. In the blink of an eye, his cultivation has broken through the 11th level of the saint and reached the realm of the last level of the saint. As his cultivation skyrocketed crazily, an extremely greedy and crazy thought arose in Tei's heart. Can he take this opportunity to break through the realm of heaven? As soon as this thought came out, Tei could no longer hold it back and simply let himself be completely integrated into the resentment, swallowing it up regardless of any consequences. As a result, 10 years have passed by, and Tei's cultivation has improved at an increasingly frightening rate, almost reaching a level that a saint could not even imagine. 12 heavens, breakthrough. Tei's demon power burst out, and with a roar that resounded throughout the sky, his realm broke through the 12th level of the saint and reached the realm of heaven. Demon power surges wildly, chaos shakes, and the stars tremble. In fact, countless Death Stars couldn't bear the huge impact of power and turned into powder in an instant. It only took 10 years for Taiyu to finally take the final step and reach the realm he dreamed of. But at this time, Taiyu was also deeply affected by swallowing up a lot of resentment. Not only was it difficult to communicate with the way of heaven, he was even highly assimilated by the chaos demon god, and his whole body was filled with surging demonic energy. Tai's eyes were blood red. At this time, even he could not determine what he had become after breaking through the realm of heaven. But no matter what, the power that reaches the heaven and the earth does exist. Taiyu condensed his karma, and ghosts loomed around him. At the same time, he tried to use various methods of the 5 demons one by one. Although he did not have the essence, he imitated them in a certain way. Zhulong ... I really want to thank you for giving me such an opportunity. I really dug my own grave. Taiyi sneered. At this moment, he was extremely proud and arrogant. He believed that by virtue of his ability to obtain the magical power of the 5 demon gods, his ability was definitely not comparable to ordinary heavenly realms. At this time, Taiyi was like a poor man suddenly getting rich, that is, crazy, and he was arrogant, and even believed that even Shen Long might not be his opponent. At the moment, he couldn't wait to return to Hongwang. On the way, he was originally worried that he would not be able to return to Hongwang, but unexpectedly, Hongwang didn't know when, a space passage appeared, and it was far larger and more stable than the previous counter-spirit passage. Hongwang actually created a new passage? God help me! Taiyu was ecstatic, and then immediately entered the space passage. Taiyu did not think that this was Shen Long's handiwork. In his opinion, it was almost impossible to create a space passage, and it was absolutely impossible for it to be done by Shen Long. Taiyu had only left Hongwang for a short time. After more than 10 years, he returned again, and this time he had the intention of killing Shen Long. Infinite 4Cs. Long Ting Hall Ding. Do you want to upgrade the one-click heart refining space to level 5? Yes Ding. Promotion successful. Ding. Upgrade shadow space to level 6? Yes Ding. Promotion successful. Ding. Do you want to upgrade the one-click training space to level 6? Yes Ding. Promotion successful. Now that he has such a large number of evolution points at his disposal, Shen Long upgraded all previous systems to advanced levels with one click. The consumption of evolution points is naturally very scary, but now that Shen Long has become a big family and a big business, he naturally consumes it very wantonly. Good. The system's one-click space level upgrade has brought very obvious benefits to Shen Long, almost immediately. Even so, Shen Long still left some evolution points as backup, at least to ensure that he will not evolve when opening a new space. There are not enough points to use. Although the system's one-click space ability has different strengths and weaknesses, they are all good things that can really improve Shen Long's cultivation. They are all worth opening. After Shen Long's squandering, he walked out of the training dojo and the Candle Dragon calls. Nowadays, there are countless people in the Dragon clan who have reached the pinnacle of quasi-saints, and most of them with outstanding talents have long been qualified to break through to the saints. There is only one opportunity left. Zhulong, you are responsible for screening and inspecting these tribesmen to see who among them is qualified to obtain the Hongman Purple Chi from my hands. Shen Long ordered lightly. The quantity of the Dragon clan needs to be increased, and the quality will naturally increase accordingly. If there can be dozens or even dozens of saints among the Dragon clan, then the Dragon clan will be able to completely crush other races. The status of quasi-sages in the prehistoric world has gradually become lower. What's more, the emergence of more and more saints will also increase the level of the prehistoric heavenly realm, which is very beneficial to his cultivation in the heavenly realm. Brother, is that really the case? After Zhulong heard this, his eyes suddenly showed joy. If Shen Long can really create a large number of saints in one go, it would be. Zhulong no longer hesitated and immediately made arrangements according to Shen Long's instructions. Right here at that time, Shen Long began to calculate the changes that had taken place in the wilderness during the more than 10 years since he had been in seclusion. As Shen Long expected, the remaining elites of the demon clan were either hidden, killed, or simply conquered and annexed by other forces. Among them, the Heavenly Court and the Western Sect have absorbed the largest number of demon clans. I don't know how many quasi-holy demon clans have turned into immortals or joined Xumi. This is also their last resort. The demon clan today is no longer what it used to be. Guang Ui was even spurned and hunted by all races in the prehistoric era. The demon race was almost completely decomposed. But the Western Sect took the opportunity to increase its strength, and the overt and covert battles with Xuanmen became more and more intense. Of course, it was just for the sake of competition, to preach and fight. The saints of the two sects had long been intimidated by Shen Long and did not dare to take action easily. Heaven has killed the largest number of demon clans, and now it has annexed the largest number of demon clans. It is really ironic. Shen Long was not interested in the dispute between Western religion and Xuanmen at all. After some calculation in his mind, he was getting closer and closer to the outbreak of calamity. Thinking of this, he deduced the news about the six-eared macaque in his mind, but found that there was still no news. Just like last time, the six-eared macaque was missing and extremely mysterious. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 259. What on earth are six-eared macaques doing? Shen Long felt strange, but after thinking about it, he must have his own reasons for it. The six-eared macaque acted calmly. In order to wait for the birth of Sun Wukong, he had waited for Sun Wukong for more than 300 years in advance. At this time, he must also have some include your own plans. Infinite seas, under the space channel. Since the formation of the space channel, Zilong and Kongzhuan have attached great importance to it. They come here to check it from time to time, and hope to understand the power of space laws from the space channel. The eldest brother's methods are indeed profound. The two have spent a full 2 years, but they still haven't understood anything from the space channel. The power of space in it is too stable. If the teacher could imitate it so easily, how could the teacher have the status he has today in the ancient world? Kongzhuan is open-minded. He has obviously been mentally prepared. Forget it. I will leave first. Zilong was a little troubled. Just when he was about to transform into a real dragon and return to the boundless world, a violent turbulence suddenly appeared in the space passage. Boom. The energy fluctuation came extremely suddenly. Before Zilong and Kongzhuan could notice it, a powerful karma suddenly burst out from the space channel and poured into the wilderness. Not good. Kongzhuan is very familiar with karma. At this moment, he almost thought that the chaos demon god was forcing his way through the space channel, and he quickly used the spirit purification plate to resolve the rolling karma. But to Kongzhuan's expectation, after the karma dissipated, unexpectedly, another huge wave of power bombarded him without reservation, suddenly forcing him back. Kongzhuan, stay safe. A burst of unbridled laughter rang out. Before Kongzhuan understood what happened, attacks followed one after another, beating him into a panic. How dare you come to the limitless world and act recklessly? You really are too impatient to live. Zilong really saw a figure filled with demonic power coming out of the space passage, and immediately attacked Snort. Just ants. Sneers rang out, and the chaotic karma condensed into countless ghost figures, trapping Zilong and Kongzhuan in them and killing them. These ghost figures turned out to be extremely difficult to deal with, and directly suppressed the two of them without the ability to fight back. Chaos Ghost. Is this the method of the demon god of ghost industry? Kongzhuan was shocked and couldn't help but exclaimed. But he did remember that the demon god of ghost industry had been killed by his teacher. Those 5 chaos demon gods are dead and there is no resentment left. Fellow Taoist Kongzhuan. The tumbling karma gradually dissipated, and a very familiar figure appeared. Taiyi. Zilong and Kongzhuan couldn't help but be startled. That was none other than Taiyi of the demon clan. But what was different from before was that Taiyi's aura at this time was extremely powerful, far from the level that Kongzhuan had suppressed at the beginning. Even among Zilong and Kong in front of the announcement, there was extremely terrifying pressure. so powerful that it caused the two of them to have irresistible fear. He is no longer at the saint level, he is at the heavenly realm, Kong Zhuan said with great difficulty, no matter how much he doesn't want to admit it. This is the fact. How can this be? Zilong sighed heavily. It's only been 10 years. This breakthrough speed is really shocking. A bunch of frogs in a well. You think that everyone in the prehistoric world is as stupid as you two, and can't even get a decent opportunity. If ancestral dragon's hands and eyes are not as powerful as the sky, why didn't he give you two the chance to break through to the realm of heaven? Tai Yi laughed like crazy. His words were extremely unrestrained, and the dull pain that had been suppressed by Shen Long in the past completely broke out at this moment. It's strange why he has the karma of the Chaos Demon God on his body and can also use the Chaos Demon God's methods. Kong Zhuan was puzzled. He could only attribute it to Taiyi's adventure. I still have important things to do, and I will deal with you when I get back. Taiyi was extremely concerned about the safety of the demon clan at this time. Although he was not in the wilderness during this period, he could roughly guess what kind of situation the demon clan would be in. Without the protection of the saints, and with many enemies, the demon clan, one can imagine the situation. Taiyi ignored Kong Zhuan and Zilong and immediately set off to fly to the demon clan territory. At this time, Taiyi was extremely arrogant. He thought that he had broken through the realm of heaven and could drive the 5 demons. With all the magical powers, I am afraid that even Shen Long may not be his opponent. As for the two ants Zilong and Kong Zhuan, they can be destroyed with a snap of the fingers, so there is no rush. You two go and inform Zilong and ask him to take a bath and purify his head before I come to the door, and wait for me to kill him myself. Taiyi dropped these words with great arrogance, and then left through the air. It was not until Taiyi was gone that Kong Zhuan and Zilong realized that the oppression they felt was slightly relieved. The two looked at each other at the same time. They all saw something bad from the other party's eyes. Tell the teacher as soon as possible. You and I are no longer able to handle the powerful people in the heavenly Dao realm. The two made up their minds and returned to the Longding Hall at the same time. However, Kong Zhuan and Zilong had no idea that at the moment Taiyi appeared, Shen Long had already sensed Taiyi's existence through the connection between the space channels. Shen Long had already sensed Taiyi's existence through the connection between the space channels. Long Zhong Linbao God's perspective was opened, and Taiyi's every move was completely under Shen Long's detection, and no one was missed. With the power of the 5 Chaos Demon Gods, their cultivation has even reached the heavenly Dao realm. Shen Long nodded thoughtfully, and then couldn't help but sneer. Those Chaos Demon Gods probably didn't expect that their cultivation would be inherited in this way. This Taiyi is really naive. Shen Long sneered. Even the 5 real Chaos Demon Gods were easily killed in his hands, not to mention that he only got the skin of those 5 demon gods. Shen Long originally planned to directly kill Taiyi, a fish that slipped through the net, but suddenly changed his mind. There was a way in his heart that could make the demon clan decline and destroy faster. Let Taiyi Duo be arrogant for a while first. Shen Long regained his god's perspective and said to himself, in the west, somewhere in a barbarian land, the monsters who escaped from the east fled here in order to avoid the siege of various races and heaven. But in this desolate and barren land, the demon clan has no possibility of revival and can only survive. Just as the demon tribe was struggling to survive on this land, the few remaining quasi-sages in the tribe discovered that the karma of heaven and earth broke out, spiritual power reversed, and there were powerful people approaching them. Do they really want to drive out all the demon clan? The demon clan is extremely desperate. At this time, even a random saint in the ancient world can easily destroy the remnants of the demon clan. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 260. Just when you were holding on to the idea of a last-ditch fight, the approaching powerful person appeared in the sky, surprising countless monsters. Emperor? He really is an emperor. The emperor seems to be much stronger than before, very different from before. At this moment, the initial shock among the demon clan turned into excitement and ecstasy. The demon clan has fallen to this point. Taiyi looked gloomy. Although he had been mentally prepared for a long time, he did not expect that the situation of the demon clan would become so miserable. Meet the Emperor. All the demon clans knelt down and worshipped Taiyi with great respect. Emperor, you are finally back. The demon clan is now much different than before. Not only are there powerful enemies around, but there are countless clan members who have taken refuge with other clans, and even hunted down the demon clan itself. If this continues, I am afraid that in more than a few thousand years, the demon clan will be completely disintegrated and cease to exist. A demon quasi-sage came to kneel in front of Taiyi and said with great sorrow. All the demon clan also hated him with great hatred. When the demon clan declined, those races added insult to injury, intending to wipe the demon clan from the wild world. But from now on, when I return, I will repay them 100 times. Anyone who adds insult to injury to the demon clan, destroys their clan, destroys their inheritance, or betrays the demon clan will never be allowed to return to the demon clan, and will also be regarded as the enemy of the demon clan and be killed. Taiyi's cold voice contained endless hatred. The voice echoed in the sky for a long time and resounded in the ears of every demon clan. At this moment, even a fellow demon clan member turned against Taiyi. Out of fear, the karma surrounding him was too strong, and his aura was almost not the same as the original Taiyi. The influence of the chaos demon god on Taiyi was far more than that, and even Taiyi himself didn't know it. What will he become in the future as his realm improves? Yes, follow the Emperor's orders. All the demons responded in unison. Taiyi's eyes were cold, looking towards the direction of Mount Sumeru, and a murderous intention loomed. Go to Mount Sumeru and start with the Western religion. Mount Sumeru. At this time, the Western sect absorbed a large number of strong men from the demon clan, and its strength increased greatly. The luck of the Western religion is also increasing day by day, and it is no longer the situation where it was overwhelmingly suppressed by Xuanmen. I really didn't expect that after the demon tribe fell, the one who gained the most was actually my Western religion. There are still many remnants of the demon tribe. If they can be collected into our Mount Xumi, the teacher will have great prospects for the next calamity. Ji Yun looked at the movements of the creatures in the astrolabe of all things in the world, and secretly thought about how to deal with the demon clan in the future. At this time, in Ji Yun's eyes, the demon clan is simply a piece of fat meat that can be devoured at will. What happened? This is when Ji Yun suddenly noticed something strange in the astrolabe of all things. There were actually nearly 1,000,000 monsters approaching Mount Xumi rapidly, from quasi-sages to the lowest class monsters. They were hiding in the west. All the demon clans in the world are all here. Jin Ying initially thought that these demon clans could not survive in the west and had to seek refuge in the Confucian sect. But when the demon clan's murderous intent soared close to the sky, even he was on the top of Mount Sumeru, when he could feel it so clearly, he immediately rejected the idea. The demon clan is here to fight. Don't overestimate your capabilities. Do you still think that the current demon clan is the demon clan protected by Hun Pang in the past? Jin Yin laughed angrily. Before the demon clan could approach, he flew towards the demon clan in person and appeared in front of the monster army. Millions of demon clan, a huge number stretching as far as the eye can see. Although it is far less spectacular than the original Siege of Heaven, it can still scare countless races in the barren west. Pick up. You, the Western sect, have surrounded and suppressed countless members of my clan, and you have also attracted countless traitors. You have a blood feud with our demon clan. You, the Western sect, will be destroyed today. I thought that the first moment the quasi-sage of the demon clan saw Ji Yin, he complained and cursed angrily. Joke. After you entered the west, the poor Taoists did not exterminate you. Instead of being grateful, you are ignorant of what is good and what is good. I and that Taiyi are still old acquaintances. I originally planned to let your demon clan leave descendants to continue, but now it seems that this is not necessary. Ji Yun laughed contemptuously. They are just a few quasi-sages, not worth mentioning. Welcome fellow Taoist, you are well. He. Just when Ji Yun was about to kill those demon clan quasi-sages, a voice unexpectedly came into his ears, and Ji Yun couldn't help but froze when he heard it. Taiyi. The next moment, the huge karma came with an overwhelming momentum. almost making it impossible for Ji Yin to breathe. He suddenly saw Tai above the sky, heavenly realm. Ji Yin couldn't believe it. No matter how much he couldn't believe it, the absolute coercion and aura were absolutely untrue. In just 10 years, Tai disappeared and reappeared, and his level of cultivation changed drastically. Fellow Taoist Ji Yin, since you know that you are an old acquaintance with me, why do you show no mercy to the demon clan and instead want to kill them all? Tai stared at the sky and asked coldly. Pine Dao. Cold sweat oozed from Ji Yin's forehead. Pine Dao saw that the demon clan had fallen, so he accepted countless demon clan, which can be regarded as keeping hope for the demon clan. Now that Tai Dao friends have returned, Pine Dao allows them to return to the demon clan. Tai didn't say any nonsense. He suddenly took action and struck with a heavy billowing force of karma. He was instantly hit by the bombardment and fell, seriously injuring him immediately. Only the guidance of the 10th heavenly saint can't resist Tai. From today on, the Western sect will cease to exist, and the monster clan that has taken refuge in the Western sect will also be regarded as the monster clan's enemy and will be killed. Tai is extremely domineering, and the overwhelming pressure of the surprise attack surges and spreads across the world. In an instant, countless disciples of the Western sect are trembling in front of the heavenly Tao realm. They are simply worse than ants, and there is nothing they can do except wait for death. Too good a friend. From now on, the Western sect is willing to help the demon clan and obey your orders. Can the Western sect be preserved and continue? Ji Yin flew out from the collapsed earth. His aura was sluggish, and he asked Tai helplessly. The Western religion has spent almost all his life's efforts to develop to this day, and Ji Yin is not willing to let it collapse. That is his chi. Luck. Even if you become a subordinate of the demon clan, you must at least retain its continuation. No need. Tai refused without even thinking. Not only your Western sect, Xuanmen, Heavenly Court, and even the Dragon clan will all be buried with the annihilated monster clan and the Hun Patriarch. No one can escape. As soon as the words fell to the ground, the rolling karma turned into countless ghosts, attacking from all directions, heading straight for Mount Sumeru. On Mount Sumeru, countless disciples of the sect were devoured by the ghosts, and they were in great pain. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 261. The erosion of karma on the creatures of the ancient world is extremely terrible, and the souls of all those affected are swallowed up and perished. Even those who are lucky enough to survive this karma eventually become murderous, killing all the creatures around them crazily. Mount Sumeru, which was known for its purity and peace in the past, has now turned into a hell-like place, filled with karma, disciples of the sect killing each other, and even demon clans causing chaos. A picture of chaos. It seems that you are bound to drive Pine Dao to a dead end today. Don't think that Pine Dao can be manipulated at will. Ji Yin was heartbroken. He knew that Tai came today with the intention of destroying the Western sect and himself, so he simply made a desperate move, intending to force Tai to retreat by self-destructing his true body. Certainly, Tai didn't even look at Ji Yin. He just pointed his finger in the air, and immediately calmed down the surging yin and yang energy in Ji Yin's body, and at the same time restrained his soul. In this way, even if Ji Yin wanted to self-destruct, he would not be able to do it. It was completely impossible to do it. Tai looked at the Mount Sumeru that was almost full of blood indifferently, and the desire to kill in his heart was greatly satisfied. Ever since Tai absorbed the resentment of the demon god, he has an indescribable obsession with killing. I have long ignored all things in the world. When I kill the ancestral dragons together and eliminate the dragon clan, you will know how stupid your previous actions were. If all tribes surrender as soon as possible, they can avoid the catastrophe of annihilation. Otherwise this game will be destroyed. The voice of Tai soared into the sky accompanied by endless karma. At this moment, countless powerful people in the ancient world heard these words. Truly, heavenly realm. How is this possible? Tongshan of King Jing hurriedly went to Hong Wang to check, but was horrified by Tai's cultivation. He could no longer sit still, and hurriedly fired several communication talismans to Lazy, who went to find Hong Jun Daozu. and at the same time he immediately headed to Hongwang. Even though it is the western sect that is under siege now, Tongshan never thinks that Taiyi will let Xuanmen go. At the same moment, Wuxian also learned about the chaos in the prehistoric world. He had expected that the demon clan would teach to the west, but what he didn't expect was that Taiyi's cultivation level would improve so horribly. Fortunately, I didn't try to make trouble for the demon clan in the first place. Wuxian calmed down. He originally wanted to show his kindness to Taiyi, but he was afraid of Shen Long. The scene where Shen Long killed the chaos demon god is still vivid in my mind. Whether Taiyi can really defeat Shen Long is still unknown. If I help the demon clan, but he loses to Zhu Long, wouldn't I be digging my own grave? After thinking about it in his mind, Wuxian decided not to give up this great opportunity. If Shen Long was overthrown just like that, wouldn't it be a pity that he missed the opportunity in vain? He immediately sent a communication talisman to Taiyi, expressing his willingness to help the demon clan and destroy the dragon clan together. At the same time, he also sent a messenger talisman to Shen Long, but its content stated that the demon clan harmed the ancient world and was an unforgivable crime, and he was willing to help him eradicate the demon clan, hedging his bets, so that if anyone gets the upper hand, he can act accordingly. Across the world, Zilong hurried to the Longding Hall, but when he arrived, he found that Shen Long had already left. At this time, Shen Long was on the sky dome of Mount Xumi, overlooking the catastrophe of the western sect below. At the same time that the war started, Shen Long had already arrived, but he just didn't take action. Today's Western religion is no longer what it used to be. The rising fortune is almost comparable to that of Taoism. Coupled with the upcoming calamity, it would be great to take advantage of this opportunity to weaken the Western religion's fortune. At this moment, a communication talisman came in. Shen Long checked it for a moment and then threw it away with a sneer. Wuxian actually started to be a wallflower. Interesting. Shen Long naturally saw through Wu Tian's plan easily. If he really wanted to help him, he would have come here in person, so why would he talk nonsense? At this time, all the hidden monsters in the western land gathered at the foot of Mount Sumeru to join in the carnival and vent all the suffering they had suffered before. This is exactly what Shen Long wants to see. It is too laborious to find and kill the ants hiding in the corners one by one. It is easiest to let Taiyi gather them together and eliminate them, cutting off the roots and eradicating the evil. This is what Shen Long wants. That Taiyi didn't know at all that he had become Shen Long's tool, and he was extremely proud of it. Shen Long no longer hesitated and immediately descended from the sky and arrived at the top of Mount Sumeru. Shen Long's arrival was extremely sudden, but the next moment his momentum burst out, and all the monsters on Mount Xumi who were suppressed instantly were frightened and almost out of their wits. Under the pressure of this aura, those dense ghosts of karma disappeared in an instant, along with the billowing karma. Zhu Long, those unbridled monsters trembled under the momentum and fled in panic. Even Patriarch Hun was easily killed by Shen Long. They couldn't even resist at all. You remnants of the demon race are not hanging on to survive, but you still want to continue to cause disaster. Today, my king will kill all of you demon clan to prevent future troubles. Shen Long waved his big hand, and the majestic power surged. However, wherever it was affected, no matter what level of cultivation, it was instantly shaken into a ball of blood mist, and even the soul was wiped out. One blow. Under this, hundreds of thousands of demon clans on Mount Xumi were wiped out without leaving a single trace. Ban. Shen Long's mind moved slightly, and he used the nearly infinite power of space law to forcefully seal off the area around Mount Xumi, trapping all the monsters in it. In this way, there is no need to worry about the remnants of the monsters taking the opportunity to escape. Zhu Long. The moment Taiyi saw Shen Long, endless hatred and anger rose up, and he suddenly had murderous intent. This included not only his hatred, but also the resentment of the 5 chaos demon gods who were killed. At this moment, he wished he could tear the ancestral dragon to pieces with his own hands, so that he could completely resolve the hatred in his heart. No wonder. The resentment that swallowed up the 5 chaos demon gods one after another was promoted to the realm of heaven. Shen Long also felt this huge resentment, His pupils turned into pale gold. After looking at it with his true eyes, he knew why Taiyi's cultivation was so powerful. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, this is the opportunity you left for me. Taiyi sneered. Fool, is this considered an opportunity? With your methods and cultivation, you can only temporarily suppress the resentment of the Chaos Demon God. When the resentment accumulates, your mind will be completely swallowed up. Shen Long shook his head disdainfully. Taiyi was shocked when he heard this, but he thought it was Shen Long deliberately intimidating him. Nonsense. I have returned to the primitive world just to kill you, and even your dragon clan is doomed. Please subscribe in full. The average author starts from 20,000 words per day. I hope you all can support me. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Chapter 262. In the ancient world, you are the only one, and you will be the last one who dares to say that you will exterminate the human race. Shen Long burst out laughing, and then his aura suddenly burst out, making everything tremble in shock. Taiyi's aura was suppressed in an instant, and finally shrunk to only the area around him, completely incomparable to Shen Long. Such a mere means is not worth mentioning. Taiyi felt that he could hardly hold on to his face, but he still comforted himself in his heart. It was just that his breath was suppressed, which was nothing at all. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, please show mercy. At this moment, the bitter message from the guide sounded in Shen Long's ears. If Taoist friend and Taiyi are at war, can you try to avoid affecting Mount Sumeru? Pine Dao is willing to owe you Taoist karma. I just ask. This little help can help. Ji Yin is also very helpless. Shen Long and Taiyi are both strong men in the heavenly Dao realm. If they start a war regardless of the consequences, I am afraid that his Sumeru mountain will be completely turned into ruins. Yes, I can avoid affecting Mount Sumeru, but if Taiyi is determined to destroy Mount Sumeru, I will not care about him. There is no need to think about it at all. Shen Long agreed without paying anything at all, so that Ji Yin would owe him a cause and effect. There is no more cost-effective deal than this. Thank you, fellow Taoist. Ji Yin finally breathed a sigh of relief. No matter what, he felt more at ease with Shen Long's promise. Taiyi didn't hesitate at all. He made a killing move against Shen Long. Karma Ghost Shadow, Yin and Yang Qi, Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Gang, etc. Almost all the abilities derived from the 5 Chaos Demon Gods were displayed by him. In an instant, the sky was dark and the earth was dark. These saints could be killed almost instantly. They completely targeted Shen Long, just to kill him quickly. Even if you can't injure him severely, you can at least suppress him firmly. Then you can find an opportunity to kill him in one fell swoop. Taiyi was extremely proud. However, Shen Long was really not interested in these attack methods. You know, even the 5 demon gods themselves were easily killed by him when they besieged him. Not to mention that he had only learned a little superficial Taiyi. There is no need for Taoist Master Qibao to take action personally. Shen Long only needs to activate the treasure gourd, one of the 7 treasures. Call out. In an instant, the karma ghosts, calamity clouds, and Yin and Yang Qi that rolled up in the sky were instantly sucked into it by the treasure gourd, and then turned to be refined and swallowed. As for the absorbed soul-swallowing demonic Qi, they were even more absorbed. Long simply and roughly inhaled the soul-swallowing blood jade. In just a short moment, these massive attacks were like a cloud, which was resolved by Shen Long in an extremely ridiculous way. Taiyi was stunned. Shen Long dealt with it so calmly that it was so shocking that I could hardly believe what I was seeing. Fellow Taoist Tai, the methods you imitated are very inferior to those of the demon gods. Do you know that I am 1 against 5, killing 5 demon gods at the same time? The treasure gourd is suspended above Shen Long's head. His expression is still indifferent, as if everything just now seems to him to be logical. 1 against 5 at the same time. After hearing these words, Taiyi felt as if he was struck by 5 thunders. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I am already in the realm of heaven. How can I not be your opponent? Taiyi went crazy for a moment, and all the magic methods came out at once. Chapter 263. Whether it was from the Chaos Demon God or the demonic and mystical arts that he was best at, he was bombarding Shen Long crazily. Bang bang. When a strong man in the heavenly Dao realm takes action, Its power is unimaginable. Under such violent bombardment, the space is shattered inch by inch. Wherever the remaining power is affected, the earth collapses and the rivers evaporate. But Shen Long still refuses to dodge. He only relied on the body protecting chi to resist. If he had to be careful with attacks of this level, then it would be a big joke for him to kill the 5 Chaos Demon Gods. Boom! On the western land, magma surged, rivers were cut off, and continuous rain of fire fell from the sky. It was a completely apocalyptic scene. Although Mount Sumeru in the rear did not suffer a frontal bombardment, it was only the residual impact, causing numerous casualties to the sect disciples on Mount Xumi, and many spiritual veins being destroyed. Damn it! Ji Yin was furious when he saw this scene. It took him more than 100 years to finally recover Mount Sumeru from the Three Saints' War, but now he has suffered such a heavy blow. The fortune of the Western sect's ascension, I'm afraid it will be suppressed again. The entire Western land was almost disrupted, but Shen Long remained unmoved and allowed these attacks to rage unscathed. Taoist friends, don't force yourself. In an instant, Taiyi felt as if his soul was grabbed by a giant hand, and the operation of his spiritual power became extremely sluggish. The soul-devouring demonic energy he drove was no longer under his control, but was driven by Shen Long. Come and devour the power of your own soul. Damn it! At this moment, fear and anger spread in his heart. Taiyi burst out in panic with several extreme sun thunder beams to forcefully extinguish these soul-devouring demonic energies. In this way, he was simply tying his own hands and feet. Taiyi is in the realm of heaven, so it is best to be used as a test subject. Shen Long's belief moved slightly, and the Chaos Spiritual Treasure 5 Elements Treasure Phase Wheel he had obtained before was sacrificed. He wanted to try to see how powerful this 5 Elements Treasure Phase Wheel was, and whether the power of the 5 Elements origin was as powerful as that in the prehistoric legend. As powerful start, Shen Long gave an order, and an ancient roulette wheel engraved with countless classical inscriptions suddenly rose up behind him and slowly rotated. On the 5 tops of the ancient roulette wheel were engraved with gold, wood, water, fire, the 5 elements of earth. Every word is filled with extremely rich power corresponding to the 5 elements. 2 is born, 2 begets 3, 3 begets all things. The 5 elements are reversed. In an instant, Shen Long felt that he seemed to be integrated with the way of heaven, and the 5 elements of heaven and earth seemed to be controllable like an arm. There was no need to do anything, just a thought, and a heavy rain fell from the sky. The damaged earth will also be restored, and the vegetation will be lush and full of vitality. The 5 elements are the origin of all things, and controlling the 5 elements is almost equivalent to becoming the way of heaven that controls the prehistoric times. What kind of sinister magic weapon is this? Taiyi, who had just escaped from the entanglement of the spirit-swallowing demonic energy, had no time to breathe a sigh of relief when he was shocked by the 5 Elements Treasure Phase Wheel. He unexpectedly found that part of his life seemed to be controlled by it and he could not get rid of it. With his true eyes, Shen Long could easily see through Taiyi's 5 elements of fire, which could be overcome by water. Come on water. Shen Long's mind moved, and the huge 5 elements treasure phase wheel suddenly rotated rapidly until the word water was located at the head of the 5 elements. Chapter 264. The 5 elements are reversed and everything is ethereal. At this moment, Shen Long was as condescending as the creator, staring at Taiyi indifferently. In Shen Long's eyes, the latter was as fragile as a flame that could be put out at any time. Come on water. Shen Long's voice seemed to come from outside the sky, and seemed to resound in the ears of every living being. It was both ethereal and real. The elephant was invisible, the sound was loud and the sound was simple. At this moment, the sky was suddenly covered with clouds. A thick layer of clouds, like thunder. Even the eyes of a saint cannot see through it. The way of heaven? Taiyi couldn't help but take a step back in horror. Shen Long actually affected the power of heaven. Not only that, the 5 elements of water between heaven and earth became more and more intense, almost making the 5 elements of fire tend to dissipate. Taiyi, whose original 5 elements were fire, felt that he was getting more and more powerful. It is becoming increasingly difficult to mobilize spiritual power. What kind of method is this? The uneasiness in Taiyi's heart gradually turned into fear. At this time, he had no idea of fighting against Shen Long, and was replaced by a strong desire to survive. Taiyi instantly turned into a meteor and fled towards the boundless sea. He was determined to escape back to chaos, and he didn't even have time to take care of the millions of monsters below. Shen Long stared coldly at Taiyi's escaping figure, with a trace of teasing flashing in his eyes. The death struggle is meaningless. As soon as he finished speaking, countless water arrows that were transformed from the 5 elements of water suddenly condensed in the dense clouds above the sky, and instantly cut through the sky, like a light blue brilliance flashing through. Call out. The next moment, the flying water arrows had penetrated Taiyi's body. The water from the 5 elements began to explode, and Taiyi felt that the fire from the 5 elements in his body was extinguished instantly. Impossible. I'm already a strong man in the heavenly realm. You can't possibly kill me. Taiyi's body turned into flying ashes and dissipated, and even his soul was destroyed along with it, completely destroyed. At this moment, all living beings were shocked. Taiyi was destroyed so completely. It wasn't until the part he left behind in the way of heaven was absorbed by the way of heaven and fed back to all living things that all living beings were convinced that Taiyi had been killed. Not only Taiyi itself, because the origin of his 5 elements was wiped out. Even the historical images that existed in the prehistoric era have completely disappeared. Taiyi was wiped out more completely than Patriarch Hun. At this point, the only powerful person among the demon clan who could rule the entire clan was killed, and the fate of the demon clan in the prehistoric era completely collapsed. The millions of demon tribesmen outside Mount Sumeru were as helpless as a colony of ants rolling in the flood, destroying the origin of the 5 elements. When did Zhu Long master this method? The confinement on Ji Yin's body dissipated, but the chill in his heart was even worse. When Taoist Hong Jun was in the realm of heaven, he had never used such terrifying methods. After killing Taiyi, Shen Long was very satisfied. The 5 elements treasure phase wheel was put away, and the power of the magic weapon was indeed as powerful as he expected. Welcome Taoist friends. Shen Long received the message and told him to come to him. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, thank you for your help. Ji Yin simply didn't dare to raise his head and look directly at Shen Long. The 5 elements treasure wheel really left him with too much fear. Now that almost all the demon tribes have gathered here, you should know how to deal with them. After all, the Western sect was almost destroyed by them, Shen Long said lightly. Although it was easy for Shen Long to destroy these monsters, he did not bother to take action himself. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 265. What's more, killing such a large number of creatures is also a big karma. Although Shen Long doesn't care about this karma, he doesn't want to waste time to resolve it. It's best to leave this kind of cleaning work to others. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, rest assured. Ji Yin looked down at the millions of monsters struggling to escape, and sneered, from now on, the monsters will cease to exist. Shen Long nodded slightly, then turned around and left. There was no need for him to stay any longer. Waste time. What the demon clan will have to endure next will be the biggest disaster since the creation of Panu, but this time they will definitely not be able to escape. Kill all the monsters and treat them the way they are treated. The extremely angry Ji Ying immediately gave the order, and the Western and Central sect disciples in Mount Xumi rushed out one after another, repaying them 1,000,000 times the atrocities committed by the demon clan just now. On this day, rivers of blood flowed under Mount Xumi. 1 year later, heaven. Dozens of monsters fled to the heaven in panic. Among them, the lowest level of cultivation was the golden immortal, and the highest level was not the peak of the great Luo Immortal. When the demon clan arrived in heaven, the immortal guarding Nanshanmen seemed to have a tacit understanding with them and directly opened the Nanshanmen to let them in. We are willing to be loyal to heaven from now on and do our best for heaven. We only hope that heaven can take us in, even if it means handing over our souls." The leader of the Daowojin Immortal Demon clan begged to the Immortal general with a very low posture. "Of course you can, but you have to hand over your soul to heaven first." Immortal generals have long been accustomed to it. Since Dayu was killed, the demon clan has been besieged and killed by the Western cult again, and has almost experienced complete annihilation. Now, the remnants of the demon clan are hiding in Tibet, or hand over their souls. Either seek refuge in the Western sect or the heavenly court, or be hunted to death by other great powers. At the same time, Emperor Hashan in the Lingxia Hall was concentrating on what he was looking at on the astrolabe. Nowadays, all the quasi-sages among the monster clan have either surrendered to the Western sect or sought refuge in heaven. From now on, the monster clan may never have a chance to turn around. Hashan Dadi put away the ancient astrolabe and smiled lightly at the immortals below. Unjust is doomed to destruction. The demon clan has fallen to this day, and it can be considered as digging its own grave. That's exactly what he said. Back then, Patriarch Hun actually dared to provoke Ancestral Dragon. From now on, heaven has one less powerful enemy to worry about. All the immortals were talking about it, and no one was happy. The demon clan has fallen to this point, and the heavenly court is naturally happy to hear about it. Emperor, this demon tribe has greatly strengthened the strength of our heavenly court. Our chances of winning in the calamity that is about to begin will also be greatly increased. An immortal laughed heartily and said calamity. When he thought of this, Emperor Hashan felt extremely unhappy. After the calamity tribulation started, Sun Wukong was actually asked to cause a stir in the heavenly palace. In this way, the heavenly palace lost its advantage. If the Western religion can firmly control the heaven during this calamity, I am afraid that its fortune will skyrocket and the future will be uncontrollable. The matter of measuring the calamity will be discussed later. The demon clan in the prehistoric world has not been completely eliminated yet, right? Asked Emperor Hashan. No. The demon clan is an innate race after all. Even if it declines, its people are still spread all over the world and cannot be completely wiped out. All the immortals responded one after another and informed them of the situation of the demon clan. Chapter 266. Even if they cannot be completely killed, the demon clan must not be given any chance to rise. From then on, as long as the heavenly immortals kill the demon clan, they can get luck rewards. If the prehistoric mortals can kill a certain number of demon clan, they can be given the opportunity to ascend to the heaven. The Emperor Hashan ordered in a deep voice. He will completely eliminate any chance of the demon clan's revival. If he doesn't kill them all, he will let them be trampled by the immortals in heaven forever. Yes, naturally, the immortals have no objection at all to this. There is no time in cultivation. Time is like running water. In the blink of an eye, it is already more than a few decades later. During this period of time, the demon race was almost driven out and completely became one of the most marginalized races in the ancient world. During this period, no war broke out in the wilderness, and all living creatures enjoyed a rare period of peace. But everyone knows that this is just the calm before the storm. The disaster is approaching, and all living creatures cannot survive alone. In the past few decades, Gen has spent a lot of energy to rebuild the severely damaged Mount Sumeru, so that Western religion can finally recover. At this time, after careful guidance by the Western sect and the absorption of a large number of quasi-sages from the demon race, the strength of the sect has rapidly increased, and more practitioners have devoted themselves to the Western sect. The luck of Western religion is increasing day by day, and it is almost the same as that of Taoism. Taoism is no longer the only one in the ancient times. When Jian gazed at countless Western religious followers on the top of Mount Sumeru, his heart was full of ambition. Western religion was born out of Taoism, but it is very different from Taoism and is almost incompatible with Taoism. Nowadays, the luck of Western religion is no less than that of Taoism, and its teachings are as profound as Taoism. It is very inappropriate to still regard it as derived from Taoism. We Westerners should completely break away from Taoism and find our own path instead of relying on it forever. With such words, the ambition in my heart is self-evident. According to the order of the leader, countless disciples of the sect bowed down one after another, and their voices resounded throughout the sky. At this moment, the destiny of the Western sect rose to the extreme and spread across the sky. All living creatures and many powerful people in the ancient world felt that destiny. Missed. Western religion is different from what it used to be. Shen Long came to the boundless seas and felt the destiny of Western religion. He knew in his heart that what was supposed to come would finally come. What is the Western religion doing? Protest against prehistoric times? Zilong was wary. Shen Long smiled faintly and said nothing. At this time, on Mount Sumeru, Sanskrit music was singing loudly, and spiritual power was rising. How can the appearance reveal the true nature of the Tathagata? The Tathagata's physical body is completely integrated. The physical substance of the Tathagata changes from real to empty. One reality and one illusion are all in the nature of nothingness. There is nowhere and nowhere to go. It is a vast and boundless vacuum. It is truly like silence. The body is silent. It is truly like the majestic body. It is truly like the form and body that are round and bright. It is majestic and silent. It is the natural principle of inaction. The teachings were taught by the guide, and the disciples were devout. They all sat cross-legged on the ground and listened to the teachings with concentration. Every sound of Sanskrit sounds in the ear seems to sublimate the soul, and the benefits are endless. All living beings have universal wisdom, but due to limited delusions and attachments, wisdom is blinded and they have no choice but to attain it. If you break through the confusion, let go of attachment, wisdom will be attained, and you will be enlightened. Taoism regards enlightenment as the great realm, and our Western religion regards enlightenment as the great realm, and the enlightened one is called Buddha and the eternal awakened one. Since then, Western religions have regarded enlightenment as the great state, and have spent their whole lives pursuing it as Buddha. Mount Sumeru has been regarded as the spiritual mountain, and Western religions have regarded it as Buddhism. Chapter 267. As he finished speaking, the spiritual power on the Lingshan mountain was like dots of starlight, falling from the sky like golden dust. At this moment, the Western religion was sublimated into Buddhism, and the spiritual mountain was transformed into the spiritual mountain again. Western religious believers became the disciples of the Buddha, and Jiyin became the Buddha, incarnating as Amitabha Buddha. There is no longer any Western religion in the ancient world, and it is replaced by Buddhism, which dominates the West. At this moment, the clouds in the sky dispersed, brilliant light shone on the Lingshan mountain, and heaven sent down great merit. All living beings feel the aura of merit permeating the air, and they are scrambling to absorb the chaotic spiritual power that overflows from the merit. They never imagined that Buddhism could bring about merits and virtues. Buddhism was born in merits descended from heaven. Shen Long had expected this and was not surprised. Brother, this Buddhism does not seem to be simple. It is completely beyond the original Western religion. Will it become a serious problem in the future? Zilong couldn't calm down anymore after seeing the merits from heaven. He hurriedly asked Shen Long, but Shen Long still smiled faintly. Instead of answering, he turned around and returned. Boundless world, enough fun. It's time for you and me to go back. Blessings from heaven. Jiyin feels the merits that continue to bless and transform him, and he is filled with emotions. After countless years of preparation, he has finally brought the sect to this point. From now on, Buddhism will no longer be fleeting in the prehistoric times. It is a side path, but a thoroughfare that can truly lead practitioners to the Great Road. Under the influence of a large number of merits, Buddhism's luck instantly increased, and it was on par with Taoism, and became the second best luck sect in the prehistoric times, second only to the Dragon Clan. The way of heaven. The blessings of merit are not only that, but at the same time, Jiyin's cultivation level skyrockets, instantly breaking through the bottleneck of the saint's 9th heaven, 10th heaven, 11th heaven, 12th heaven, and also breaks through. That cultivation level skyrockets. The speed was so fast that even he couldn't believe it. He was extremely excited to feel the rapid improvement of his cultivation level, and in the blink of an eye he had reached the peak of the 12 heavens. Breaking through this level, he would no longer be a saint, but the realm of heavenly Tao that is integrated with heavenly Tao. However, The speed of improvement in cultivation has become gradually slower as the merits are gradually absorbed and consumed. Jinying is anxious, but now he has broken through the realm and become the most important player in the heavenly Tao realm. Guan, we have to take this step no matter what. Rise. In order to help the cultivation breakthrough, Jiying frantically absorbed the spiritual power in the Lingshan mountain, like a whale swallowing it, without even refining it carefully, just to break through the realm. Buddha. The countless Buddhist disciples noticed that the spiritual power of the world suddenly became thinner, and thought that something strange had happened, and they were all frightened. However, contrary to expectations, the merits of blessing Buddhism eventually gradually dissipated. Until the end, the Gaia cultivation level is still stagnant at the 12th level of the saint, and there is only one step away from breaking through to the realm of heaven. A slight mistake is 1,000 miles away. A step away is a huge difference. Alas, it is so difficult to break through the realm of heaven. Very frustrated, although everything he has gained now has long exceeded his expectations, it is really difficult to accept the stagnation of cultivation at such a maddening juncture. Today, Buddhism and Taoism are competing for the Great Way, the supreme way of the West. Jiying forced himself to get rid of his depression, and declared to all the Buddhist disciples and countless living beings in the wild. Chapter 268. See Buddha. All the Buddhist disciples bowed down one after another and sang Sanskrit music loudly, and the barren West became rich in spiritual power. Afterwards, Jiying gave his Buddhist disciples one after another the Buddhist status, divided into Buddha, Bodhisattva and Arhat. The Buddha is the three fruition status, the past Buddha, the present Buddha, and the future Buddha. They guard the door of Buddhism and spread the supreme way. The Bodhisattva has a sequence of 18 fruition statuses, respects the Buddha, and takes it as his duty to save all living beings. The Arhat has 100. The 8 are perfect, subduing demons and eradicating the old enemies of Buddhism. However, not all of these sequences and Buddhist fruition positions have been distributed, and most of them are still vacant. Today's Buddhist disciples still find it difficult to get on the stage in Jiying's eyes. So I chose to retain these fruition statuses and give them to future Buddhist wizards. For example, the wise stone monkey who will cause trouble in the heavenly palace in the future, Sun Wukong. At this point, Buddhism has become the biggest enemy of Taoism. Whether it is the way of explanation or the way of cultivation, Dharma is very different from Taoism. Since the birth of Buddhism, not only countless people from the West have flocked to Buddhism to worship and devote themselves, but also countless practitioners from the East have traveled thousands of miles to arrive at Buddhism and accept the principles of Buddhism. In the guidance of after careful planning, Buddhism became famous in the East, making countless races curious and yearning for it. At this time, Buddhism was no longer like the previous Western religion, which was in decline and crumbling. This made him increasingly uneasy, but there was nothing he could do. After all, I was not in the wilderness, and Jiying's cultivation level skyrocketed, which was really difficult to deal with. Shen Long was not surprised by all this. At the beginning of the founding of Buddhism, there was luck and merit, so naturally it will prosper greatly for a period of time. The real decision of whether Buddhism can flourish for how long and to what extent it can reach depends on whether Buddhism can seize this opportunity in the next calamity. Shen Long is unmoved by Buddhism. Order the clansmen in the clan to speed up reproduction and increase the population rapidly. Chaos. Zixiao Palace. Who was sitting quietly in the main hall, suddenly opened his eyes, and his eyes sparkled with insight into the past. Western religion has turned into Buddhism. I immediately learned about the existence of Buddhism through the soul mark of Tandao. The Western religion that he looked down on at the beginning has finally become a trend and started to compete with Taoism. At this moment, Hong Jun instantly appearing in the main hall, I immediately paid my respects to him when I saw him. Jiying seems to be unwilling to lag behind, and its Buddhist potential is no less than that of Taoism. Hong Jun glanced at me meaningfully. When Western Buddhism became independent from Taoism, its survival to this day was due to good luck, but it stopped there. I bowed my head slightly to Hong Jun, his words full of disdain. Forget it. I don't want to get involved in this prehistoric matter. You can make your own decision. Hong Jun didn't care. Both Sanqing and Qilin came from his disciples. No matter who gained power, he would still be the final beneficiary. Teacher. This disciple came here for the sake of Yuanchai. With the ability of the disciple and Tongshan, there is no way to resurrect him. I can only ask you to take action. However, if there is any order, the disciple will definitely obey it. I lowered my posture and asked Hong Jun sincerely for help. He knew that Taoist Hong Jun must have the ability to resurrect Yuanchai. Chapter 269. Taoist Hong Jun was silent for a moment, and then nodded slowly. Yuanchai is also my disciple. I can help you this time, but you have to promise me that you must do two things. Daozu, please speak. I was immediately overjoyed and asked quickly first, after the resurrection of Yuanchai, you and the three pure ones are not allowed to kill each other again and cause internal strife among themselves. Second, Taoist Hong Jun did not say it directly, but informed me through a message transmission this. After listening to this, a trace of surprise flashed across my eyebrows. Daozu, are you really sure? Just follow my instructions. Daozu Hong Jun's expression is still neither happy nor sad, and his tone is flat. As the teacher wishes, please take action as soon as possible to resurrect Yuanchai. After a moment of hesitation, I gritted my teeth and agreed. Good. Daozu Hong Jun was very happy. Even if he sinks his mind into the way of heaven, he repeatedly searches for the mark of Yuanchai's soul in the way of heaven. I didn't find the mark of Yuanchai's soul in the way of heaven. It doesn't mean that his mark of soul is no longer there. It exists, but it is almost completely absorbed by the way of heaven, and it is almost impossible to find it with the cultivation of a saint. The way of heaven can be called invisible, or it can be regarded as endless vastness. In this huge range, you want to search for a path. It is not easy to obtain the mark of the soul. Only when one has cultivated above the level of heavenly Tao and is highly integrated with heavenly Tao can one be able to penetrate the mind into heavenly Tao to search for the smallest trace of the soul mark that has been shrunk to the extreme. It is absolutely impossible for a saint do it. There are no years of practice. Daozu Hong Jun and Lazy completely ignored the passage of time. In the blink of an eye, 3 years have passed. Found it. Daozu Hong Jun opened his eyes, slowly spread his hands, and saw an extremely weak Yuan Shen mark appearing in his palm. The Yuan Shen mark looked like a light blue translucent light group, a ray of light from Yuanchai. The consciousness of the soul is floating in it. This is the mark of Yuanchai's soul. It's just ... How did it become like this? When I saw the Yuan Shen mark, I was extremely shocked. When Sanqing broke through to the saint realm, the Yuan Shen mark left in the heaven was extremely vast, but now only less than 1% of the original mark is left. The remaining parts have been absorbed by heaven and no longer exist. If it is delayed for thousands of years, even these few marks will be difficult to find. Daozu Hong Jun saw what I was thinking and explained. I felt like my heart was shocked like 5 thunders. He couldn't help but think of the soul marks left in the heavens by himself and Tongshan. Their soul marks were swallowed up by the heavens. How much is left? So ... If Yuanchi is killed again in the future, he will not be able to be resurrected? I asked cautiously. Exactly. Not even I can revive it. Taoist Hong Jun gave Lao Tzu an unacceptable answer. Unless Yuanchi breaks through the realm of heavenly Tao and becomes one with heavenly Tao, he can live with heavenly Tao. If heavenly Tao is immortal, he will not be destroyed either. Of course, there is no need for Daozu Hong Jun to tell me. I also understand in my heart that even in the realm of heaven, immortality is not absolute. If faced with such a powerful existence as Zhulong, the immortality in the realm of heaven is just an illusion. What a joke. There is no absolute iron law for all things in the world. This is what I deeply realized after Zhulong personally broke the universally recognized iron law in the ancient world. Chapter 270. Later, Taoist Hong Jun asked me to call out the soul of Yuanchai Tanzun and inject the soul mark drawn from the way of heaven into it. In an instant, the power of Yuanchai's soul burst out, and his nearly collapsed consciousness slowly recovered. Following this, Yuanchai's soul finally recovered. Brother ... Teacher. The weak soul looked at Daozu Hong Jun and Lazy in front of him with difficulty. and called out with difficulty, "Very good." I suddenly became excited. He noticed that Yuanshai's soul began to burst out and revive. As long as his soul is restored to life, he can gradually restore his cultivation, and finally reshape his true body and resurrect the true meaning. Hong Jundaozu said, "There is not much left of Yuanshai's soul mark. After reshaping his true body, if he is killed again, there is nothing I can do. The teacher has taken the trouble, and the disciples will figure it out, no matter what. As long as Yuanshai is resurrected, Lao Tzu's goal is to achieve." "Thank you, teacher." Yuanshai's soul landed on the ground and quickly bowed deeply to Taoist Hong Jun. After being killed by Tongshan, he felt as if he had just been awakened from an indefinite sleep. I asked, "Yuanshai, can you reshape your true body now?" Yuanshai nodded, "Of course, brother, but I need your help." I naturally understood, and then injected catalytic spiritual power into Yuanshai's body, and at the same time he used the various elixirs he refined as supplements to help Yuanshi. Yuanshi easily absorbed the effectiveness of the elixir, and on top of his soul, the mechanism and structure of his true body gradually regenerated, until finally, his true body was completely restored, and his soul reconnected with the way of heaven. However, at this moment, something unexpected happened. After Yuanshi reshaped his true body, his cultivation level soared into the sky rapidly. The cultivation level that was originally at the 9th level of heaven suddenly broke through in an instant and reached the peak of the 10th level of the saint, which is almost similar to my cultivation level. Break and then stand. I didn't expect that this would be your opportunity. Teozu Hongjun nodded approvingly to Yuanshi and admired it very much. Due to various coincidences, Yuanshi was able to reshape his true body and merge with the Yuanshan, making a great breakthrough. He also benefited a lot from this and achieved a breakthrough in his cultivation. Blessings come from disasters, misfortunes come from blessings. Yuanshi's expression was ecstatic. This was far beyond his expectation. Seeing this, I finally felt relieved. At this juncture, the stronger Sanking's strength is, the better. Whether it is from the perspective of the three brothers or the three pure states complementing each other, Yuanshai's cultivation is strong. With the connection between the three pure states, it will naturally affect him and Tongshan. Thank you to the teacher for helping me, and thank you to my brother. After Yuanshi hurriedly expressed his gratitude, he then thought of the culprit who caused his death, and gritted his teeth and said, "If it weren't for Tongshan, how could I have fallen to this?" "Nonsense. You are still calculating. It is indeed Tongshan's fault for killing you, but you should never speak rudely or provoke him, let alone attack Tongshan with force. Although Tongshan's sin is unforgivable, you are also at great fault." When I heard this, I couldn't help but screamed. What he hates most is the constant disputes between Tongshan and Yuanshai. What's even more troublesome now is that with the emergence of Buddhism, the Sanqing cannot fight among themselves. Otherwise wouldn't it mean that the opportunity to measure calamity was given to Buddhism? Chapter 271. After returning to the primitive world, you must not fight with Tongshan again. Start measuring the calamity immediately and put all your energy on measuring the calamity. If you two start fighting among yourself again, don't blame me for being rude. I scolded him with a strong voice. Yuanshi knew that he was wrong, so he just lowered his head and responded dully, but he didn't know what he was thinking. Afterwards, I and Yuanshi said goodbye to Taoist Hongjun, and the two returned to the prehistoric world together. Maybe it was because the cultivation level has been greatly improved, surpassing Tongshan, which gave Yuanshi a lot of confidence. On the way back to the ancient times, his heart was filled with resentment towards Tongshan. Snort. Be content. Do you know that you are almost impossible to resurrect? I said coldly, unable to be resurrected. Brother, what does this mean? As long as the way of heaven exists, aren't saints immortal? Yuanshi looked at me with great confusion. I didn't hide anything about it, and simply told him everything about the heavenly Tao society devouring the saint's soul mark. Yuanshi could not believe it at first, but when he tried to resonate with the heavenly Tao, he was horrified. He discovered that the mark of his soul had disappeared. If he was killed again and could retain his soul, he could still be reincarnated and rebuild. But if his soul was destroyed together, he would be completely beyond redemption. Brother, How could this be? Didn't the teacher say that saints are immortal and coexist with the way of heaven? Yuanshai suddenly felt extremely frightened. He was almost wiped out from the ancient world, and would be doomed forever. But I smiled bitterly. Even the heavenly Tao realm was wiped out by fellow Taoist Zhu Long, and was wiped out from the ancient world. There is no one in the ancient world at all. There is immortality in the true sense. Under the crushing power of absolute cultivation, all iron laws do not exist. The scene of Shen Long killing Patriarch Hun is still vivid in his mind. Every time he thinks about it, he is greatly shocked. Yuanshai frowned and lowered his head without speaking for a long time. What Sanqing did when he practiced hard to attain enlightenment was not immortal, exploring the avenue. But now it seems that before the way of heaven, they are still no different from ants. Whatever the way of heaven wants to get from them, they can easily get it. Irresistible. Irresistible. After Yuanshai broke through because of his cultivation, the excitement it brought was diluted a lot at this time. Let's go back first. These are not the things we should worry about now. Buddhism is the big trouble. There is a lot of worry in Lazy's words. He definitely does not want Buddhism to surpass Taoism. If the battle with Buddhism fails, the status of the Sanqing in the ancient world will completely decline. Just when Lazy and Yuanshai rushed back to the ancient world, little did they know that their whereabouts had long been noticed by the Night Demon God and the Illusion Demon God in the endless chaos. Out of fear of Shen Long, the two did not take action immediately, but used the communication talisman to send messages to one of the three demon gods who controlled them. As soon as the notification was announced, as soon as the communication talisman was released, they saw a huge demonic shadow emerging above their heads. The owner of this demonic shadow was one of the chaos demon gods who ruled the three sects, the demon god of samsara. For a long time, they have tried their best to the most radical demon god faction is controlled by him. All the demon gods who died under Shen Long can be said to be his subordinates. Who among the chaos demon gods most hopes that Shen Long will be killed? Qilin, that is the demon god of reincarnation. Demon Lord. When the two saw the demon god of reincarnation, they bowed their heads respectfully. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 272. Even though this was just a clone phantom of the demon god of reincarnation, it still made them tremble. What's the matter? The demon god of reincarnation asked coldly. As you can see, those two people are Lazy, Yuanshai, and Xuanmen, rulers from the ancient times. Should they be intercepted and killed right now? Before this, the demon god of samsara had personally given an order to the 1,000 demon gods under his control, telling them not to act rashly and to act with caution when they saw the creatures of the primitive world. Otherwise, just like last time, Kong Zhuan had just been killed. He was defeated, but was immediately surrounded and killed by Shen Long. Although the demon god of samsara hated Shen Long deeply, he did not want to see the chaos demon god under his command being killed one by Shen Long. Samshan, the incarnation of Panu, the demon god of samsara, immediately checked. After he found out the movements of the two, he hesitated a little and rejected their requests. Let them go. Since they are Sanqing transformed by Panu, there is no guarantee that Zhu Long will not leave protection on them. If the ancestral dragon is attracted, can you handle it? The demon god of reincarnation asked coldly. The demon lord calms down. It's my fault for not thinking carefully. Please don't punish me. Hai Yi suddenly broke out in a cold sweat and quickly lowered his head to apologize to the demon god of samsara. The demon god of samsara did not respond to either of them, just snorted coldly, and then his fandom disappeared in the air. The demon god of samsara is not stupid and arrogant. Shen Long can force him to do so by himself. After defeating 500 chaos demon gods, it is evident that his cultivation is strong. He believes that with his own strength, it is impossible to be Shen Long's opponent. The only way is for the three major demon god factions to attack together to have a chance of winning. Unfortunately, it has always been difficult for the three major demon factions to unify their opinions. and it will be difficult to gather strength to deal with Shen Long in the short term. In the Dark Knight and fantasy world, although this demon does not allow you to attack Sanqing directly, you should also know that the next calamity of the prehistoric era is coming. The demon god of reincarnation hints like this. No matter how stupid these two are, they can still understand it. Demon Lord, don't worry, we must take this opportunity to weaken the prehistoric power as much as possible. The Dark Knight demon god quickly replied, the calamity coming will definitely plunge the Great Desolate into chaos within a certain period of time. This is also the weakest moment of the Great Desolate world. The phantom of the Samsara demon god completely disappeared. After a while, the Dark Knight in the illusion realm dared to stand. Get up, let's go. It's better not to get into trouble. I looked at Lizzie and Yuan Shai, who were returning to the ancient world along the star track with reluctance, and was extremely frustrated, since the demon god of Samsara has expressed his stance. If they are targeted by Shen Long, they will definitely not rescue them, so why should they take such a big risk? I and Yuan Shi never imagined that Shen Long's reputation for frightening the chaos demon god would allow them to escape disaster. Shangqingjin, Jijiao Taoist Temple. Tongshan, who was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed to practice, suddenly opened his eyes at this moment. Through the connection between the three pure beings, he noticed that an extremely familiar aura entered the ancient world. Yuan Shi. This is exactly the aura of Yuan Shi. He has obviously been rescued by me, begging Hongjun Daozu. After feeling some comfort in his heart, Tongshan snorted coldly. He has long regarded Yuan Shi as a mortal enemy, and there are many conflicts between the two, and hatred can never be easily resolved. If it weren't for the fact that they were both Sanqing, he would have destroyed the Yuan Shi Yuan Shen together. Chapter 273. This is indeed the case. The first thing Yuan Shi did when he returned to the prehistoric world was to leave me far behind and rush to the Sanqing realm in person to find Tongshan with murderous intent. Different from last time, this time Yuan Shi not only came prepared, but also relied on his own cultivation to surpass Tongshan. Naturally, he couldn't help but want revenge. Yuan Shi, what are you up to? I didn't expect that Yuan Shi would attack so suddenly, and immediately asked sternly. Brother, I must avenge this. What's more, Tongshan made an oath to completely sever brotherhood with me, and even killed me ruthlessly. I won't hold back on him. If I can't avenge him, how can I have the dignity to continue to control Changjiao? As soon as he finished speaking, Yuan Shi couldn't hold himself back and quickly flew to Sanqing realm to find Tongshan for revenge. Along the way, he even used secret techniques to set up several barriers to hinder me, because his cultivation at this time was comparable to me. These barrier obstacles have caused me a lot of trouble. In desperation, I can only take out the communication talisman and teleport to Shen Long to ask him to help me. Fellow Taoist Zhu Long, the situation is extremely urgent. I implore you to personally take action to hinder Yuan Shi, no matter what conditions your fellow Taoist has. I agree. In desperation, I could only write a check regardless of the consequences. Just a moment later, the communication talisman sent from the Infinite Sea fell into my hands. Shen Long's answer was concise and to the point. All the affairs of the Sanqing dynasty have nothing to do with this emperor. I have no intention of interfering in it, so I can take care of it myself. Shen Long naturally won't waste his efforts to help Sanqing. What's more, I still owe him a cause and effect that has not yet been resolved, so I want him to help. How can there be such a good thing in the world? I am really helpless. He knows what happened today. I'm afraid it's hard to end it easily. Zilong, go and see Changjiao and Jijiao. If the fight between them affects the Dragon clan, there is no need to be polite to them. Shen Long called Zhulong over and ordered him. Yes. Zilong immediately accepted the order, but still asked with some expectation, Brother, this resurrection of Yuan Shi will probably cause quite a stir in Xuanmen. Do you think we are going to do it? Don't interfere and let them fight on their own. Shen Long's answer was so straightforward that Zilong immediately shut up. In just a short moment, Yuan Shi rushed to the Sanqing realm with great momentum, and Tongshan had been waiting for him here for a long time. Yuan Shi, even if you were killed once, You still have no repentance and want to fight me to the death. Do you really think that I can be manipulated at will? Tongshan looked at Yuanchai in front of him and laughed in anger. Without further ado, last time, I was careless and allowed you to succeed. This time, it will be your turn to be killed. Yuanchai sneered, and then his momentum suddenly exploded, and his cultivation was completely displayed. The saint of the 10th level suppressed Tongshan's momentum with all his strength. The 10th heaven was broken and then stood up again. Tongshan was greatly shocked. Yuanchai actually used his resurrection to seize this opportunity to break through the bottleneck. This is all thanks to you. I also give you a chance to make a big breakthrough today. Yuanchai sacrificed the magic weapon Ji Dao Heavenly Spirit Bead, and an array of spirit beads in the shape of the Big Dipper appeared instantly above his head. 2 is born, 2 is born 3, and 3 is born all things. The 7-star spirit beads rotated rapidly, evolving rapidly from the first 7. In the blink of an eye, they filled the sky, like thousands of twinkling stars. Chapter 274. The Jidao Heavenly Spiritual Bead is one of the many spiritual treasures gifted by Dao Ancestor Han Jun. It is the highest level of innate spiritual treasure. However, before that, Yuan Shi only used it as a guardian magic weapon. Now that his cultivation level has exceeded the 10th level, he has discovered that this magic weapon can draw the power of the stars for his own use. In this way, the value of this magic weapon is extraordinary. The moment the stars in the sky twinkled, they turned into countless meteors that broke through the sky and landed, bombarding the sky one after another. Almost every falling star carried extremely terrifying destructive power, instantly bombarding the area outside the Sanqing realm hall with holes in it. It was extremely difficult for Tongshan to parry. He was forced to retreat one after another. Even the magic weapon used to resist the attack was greatly damaged. Tongshan, weren't you extremely arrogant before? Why have you become like a shrunken turtle now? Let me see what you can do. Yuanchai was extremely wanton, and the momentum of his attacks became more and more fierce. Taking advantage of the fact that Tongshan was bombarded and unable to resist, he flew close to him and hit him on the head with the 3-treasure Jade Ruai. This blow did not hold back at all. Yuanchai held on to his will. Killing Heart takes action, obviously to kill Tongshan directly. Kingping Sword. Tongshan was caught off guard. At this time, his fishing drum and other defensive magic weapons were all restrained by the Jidao Heavenly Spirit Pearl. He could only use the Kingping Sword to resist it. However, the Kingping Sword was not the main defensive magic weapon at all. With one blow, even after being knocked down, the other mighty General Tongtian was also bombarded and flew backwards. Boom! Tongshan fell like a fallen star, causing the entire Sanqing realm to shake and the earth collapsed. Tongshan quickly put the Kingping Sword away, only to find that the Kingping Sword had been severely damaged in the head-to-head encounter, and the sword body unexpectedly fell from there was a crack in the middle. However, Tongshan didn't care about Kingping Sword at all. The attacks from the Jidao Heavenly Spirit Pearl came one after another, making his already severely damaged body even worse. Looking at the embarrassed Tongshan, Yuanchai felt a bad breath in his chest. He finally came out. He mobilized the Jidao Heavenly Spirit Pearl to form an encirclement and trapped Tongshan, completely blocking his retreat. At the same time, all the powerful people in the prehistoric era were aware of this battle between saints. One after another cast their spiritual consciousness to check Yuan Shi is actually resurrected. Judging from his momentum, he has no intention of letting Tongtian go. It would be really interesting if Yuan Shi killed Tongshan. Haha. In this way, wouldn't Buddhism want to completely suppress Xuanmen? All the quasi-sages and saints outside Xuanmen have the mentality of watching a show, but the only thing is to pick up the lead, and I really hope that the two can fight and both sides will suffer. Lord Buddha, now that Xuanmen is fighting within itself, should we add fuel to the flames? A Buddhist disciple under the Lotus platform asked. No, just let them fight among themselves. We don't have to go into the water. Ji Yin smiled faintly and objected. In fact, Ji Yin also thought about intervening in this matter, but he was afraid that Shen Long would intervene and hinder him. At that time, it would be impossible to escape unscathed. In any case, Ji Yin did not want to have a grudge with Shen Long. Tongshan, you killed me back then, now you are reaping the consequences. Yuanshi looked down at Tongshan with a victor's attitude, and said jokingly. Tongshan was besieged by the Jidao Tanlingzu, and in his opinion, he was already his chopping block. It was you who suffered the consequences in the first place. You cannot blame others for being killed by me. Chapter 275. Tongshan's eyes were blood red, and he gritted his teeth and retorted, I don't want to have a verbal dispute with you, but I can spare your life for the sake of your friendship with me. But you must transfer most of Jijiao's luck to me. From now on, Jijiao will respect Chanjiao and follow Chanjiao in everything. Yuanshi made an extremely arrogant request from above, and everyone gnashed their teeth and became furious after hearing this. To respect Chanjiao, he has to hand over most of his luck. From now on, Jijiao will be slowly annexed by Chanjiao. This is too much. I would rather die than bear such insult. Tongshan, who was furious, went all out and used the life and death formation again. He will fight Yuanshi today. Either he will be killed by Yuanshi, or he will die. How dare you show off your trivial skills? When Yuanshi saw the great formation of life and death circling, a coldness flashed in his eyes. He was killed by the great formation of life and death due to carelessness, and this time he was determined not to make the same mistake again. The next moment, the Pinu flag jumped out. In his hand, Yuanshi directly pushed it to the extreme. With the huge injection of chaotic spiritual power, Pinu Fan's power hit the sky, causing the clouds on the sky to dissipate and the stars to be in chaos. Destroyed, Yuanshi locked the eye of the great formation of life and death, and struck down the Pinu flag with violent power that shattered the sky. Boom! With one blow, the formation's eyes burst open, and its destructive energy far exceeded the limit that the life and death formation could absorb. Boom! The second blow came one after another. The formation eye was completely shattered. The pervasive death energy quickly dissipated, and the life and death formation was also shattered and ceased to exist. Tongshan was horrified when he saw it. He didn't expect Yuanshi to be able to break life and death so easily. Great formation, however, this also includes the lessons he learned from being killed by the great formation of life and death last time. Yuanshi no longer dares to have any contempt. The four swords of killing immortals. Tongshan didn't dare to hesitate, and quickly condensed the chaotic spiritual power to create the form of the four swords of Zuxian, and used them to sit in the east, south, west, and north to form the Zuxian formation. Tongshan's mastery of the Zuxian formation has been perfected, and this simplified version of the immortal killing formation was formed instantly, surrounding Yuanshi, without even the four swords of killing immortals. How could this formation be so powerful? Yuanshi looked at it with disdain. Facing the sword shadows that swept across the sky, the power of the Pinu flag in his hand exploded, instantly smashing the flying sword shadows into pieces. Tongshan was very anxious and went all out to inspire Zuxian formation. If this method cannot defeat Yuanshi, he will really have nothing to do. The stars fall and everything dies. At this moment, countless stars in the sky converged and merged, devouring each other, and finally merged into a huge, majestic star. The moment the star emerged, its momentum and pressure spread, almost covering the upper sky. The entire sky in the realm made Tongshan almost stagnant. Not only that, all the Jijiao disciples in the Sanqing realm were frightened, and they could all sense the terrifying pressure of the stars. The teacher is afraid that it will be difficult to resist. If the teacher is killed, now I'm afraid the entire Taking realm will suffer. The Jijiao disciples were in despair. Fall. Yuanshi didn't hesitate at all. He brought down the stars that covered the sky and the sun, and blasted towards Tongshan with the force of destroying the heaven and the earth. Tongshan could no longer care about anything else, and the immortal killing formation was immediately disbanded by him. Chapter 276. Phew! The four Zuxian swords transformed by spiritual power instantly hovered above the head. Drawn by Yuanshi's divine thoughts, they rushed straight towards the falling star, with the intention of smashing it. The star had not yet fallen, and its huge coercion caused the earth to collapse. Four immortal killing swords made purely from spiritual power bombarded the stars. They only paused for a moment before they were shattered by the meteorite bombardment. At this moment, Tongshan's eyes were filled with blood. But there is no way to stop the falling stars. Boom! In an instant, The stars fell, and Tongshen's figure was instantly submerged. The impact on the earth caused the earth to collapse and sink. The violent power turned into a rolling sea of fire, sweeping across the Sanqing realm. The grass and trees on the earth turned to ashes, and the Sanqing Taoist temple was the first to be among them. Most of it was destroyed by the remaining power in an instant, and it was in dilapidated condition. If Taoist Duo Bao hadn't united with other disciples to resist, I'm afraid Ji Jiao would have killed and injured countless people. However, all this was far from over. The falling star exploded, and all the stars in it exploded. The huge energy contained poured out, bombarding the sky where life and death were uncertain without any reservation. Get out of here. Seeing the power of the star explosion, the disciples of Ji Jiao were expelling dead souls. They dared not stay for a moment, and they all left the taking realm before the pressure came close. Immediately afterwards, Ji Jiao's dojo was completely bombarded, shattered and razed to the ground. Yuan Shi's expression changed slightly. He didn't want to affect Ji Jiao. It would be best if he could accept his Ji Jiao after killing Tongshen, but with the battle at this level, he really couldn't care about it. When he took back the Jidao Tanling Pearl, the remaining power of the shattered stars finally returned to calm. When the bustle dissipated, the Sanqing realm, which used to be like a fairyland, became devastated. The grass and trees turned into powder, and when he arrived at the store it collapsed into ruins, and everywhere you looked was desolate. All the disciples in Ji Jiao fled the Sanqing realm, and there were no other living things here. What was unexpected was that Tongshen was bombarded by this power. Has not been killed yet, but despite this, he was seriously injured at this time, and all the protective magic weapons came out, but they were all damaged to varying degrees. And at Tongshen's feet, a piece of broken 78 the wreckage of the fallen defensive array has not yet dispersed. Tongshen tried his best, but he could only barely save his life. The gap in the realm of the first level was too huge. Huh, you're in luck. Yuan Shi looked at the seriously injured Tongshen and sneered. Then he took out the Pangyu flag, transformed into hundreds of sword shadows and fired them one after another, intending to completely kill Tongshen. Yuan Shi, you dare! At this moment, a burst of circling yin and yang qi suddenly condensed into a Taikai barrier in midair, blocking all these flying sword shadows without any penetration. The next moment, I broke through the space and appeared, looking at Yuan Shi in front of him with great anger. Damn it, do you still remember what the teacher said? One of the conditions for resurrecting you is that you must not fight among yourself. I was both angry and lucky. If I had arrived a step later, I would have simply taken the heavenly soul to go to Daozu Hongjun for help. Don't be surprised, brother. When I showed up, Yuan Shi had to lower his head and admit his mistake, even though he was very unconvinced. Thank you bro for saving me. Tongshen recovered a little from his injuries, and then thanked me, but it was obvious that the hatred in Tongshen's eyes was even worse. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.